Hi, welcome to our Conservation Commission meeting. Um, Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2022 and Age 62 as amended by S 2506, this meeting/public hearing will be conducted via remote means. Members of the public who wish to access this meeting may do so in the following manner. Please see the connection information on the agenda to join the meeting by Zoom video conference or to call in by phone. Specific information on the agenda to join, specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Topsfield Town website at topsfield-ma.gov. You may also email conservation@topsfield-ma.gov or call 978-887-1510 for any information or assistance. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, and public participation in any public hearing conducted during this meeting shall be by remote means only. Members of the public attending this meeting virtually will be allowed to make comments if they wish to do so during the portion of the hearing designated for public comment as announced by the chair during the meeting. This meeting is being recorded by Topsfield Cable TV and Zoom. Is there anyone else present who wishes to record? Hearing none. While we are conducting town business using remote participation via Zoom, we ask that those of you not recognized by the chair or otherwise engaged in the discussion of the moment to please mute your microphone to avoid interruptions outside the conversation. Thank you.
Hold on. Jackie, ready?
Yes, you can go ahead and announce the first agenda item.
Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our meeting tonight. I'm Dodge Shamroth, your chair, and we'll start off with our first hearing, which is an ANRAD 3070861, and it's for Raleigh Bridge Road, and I believe there's continuance on this. Is that correct? Okay, so we need to vote on that.
So I think first we need to read the legal notice and then we can vote.
Oh, you are going to read it on that one?
So we
Okay.
do want to open the hearing and then continue it?
Yes.
Go.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll open the hearing again.
Okay, so this is for 249 Raleigh Bridge Road. A public hearing will be held by remote participation through video and or audio conference Wednesday, August 13th, 2025 at 7 p.m. to consider the abbreviated notice of resource area delineation for verification of wetland resource area boundaries at 249 Raleigh Bridge Road, map 80, lot 002. Applicant Don Hauser. This is in accordance with requirements of MGL Chapter 131, Section 40 and Topsfield General Wetlands Bylaw Chapter 62, meeting participation instructions will be listed on the meeting agenda posted with the town clerk a minimum of 40 hours prior to the meeting date or contact conservation at topsfield-ma.gov. Susan Winslow.
And I think we've had trouble getting a butter mailing. Is that correct?
Yes, so we need to continue the hearing because abutters were not notified far enough in advance.
Okay, I can put forward a motion to continue this hearing
I can make a motion.
I will make a motion to continue the hearing to the September 10th, 2025 conservation meeting at 7 p.m.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
And I'm sorry, the lightning just distracted me. So are we good for that one?
We need to vote.
Oh, that's right. How do we vote? Dodge Shamroth, aye.
Jen DiCarlo, aye.
Andrew Mulholland, aye. We're not able to hear you, Maureen, I think.
Maureen, are you there?
Give a thumbs up if you approve the, okay.
You there?
There she is.
She is here,
Oh.
but we're not able to hear her. I think she's having some audio problems.
Sign language works fine.
Okay.
Are we good? So all we're doing is continuing that, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Next, we have an NOI for 3070859 for 76 Parsonage Lane, map 24, lot 46, for Furrier and Congress, I think is how you say it, engineering, replace field septic system. And we need to read the legal notices on that one too.
Sure. A public hearing will be held via remote participation through a video and or audio conference Wednesday, or I'm sorry. Did we already open this? Because the notice that I have in front of me has July 9th, the date.
Oh, maybe we did.
Oh, so I think at the last meeting, we did open it, but we need to read it again because the abutters were not notified
Okay.
in time for the last meeting, just in case anyone is new this time.
So
So
I
you can read
will.
it with the old date.
Okay, thank you. Starting over, a public hearing will be held via remote participation through video and or audio conference Wednesday, July 9th, 2025 at 7 p.m. to consider the notice of intent for septic system replacement in buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland at 76 Parsonage Lane, map 24, lot 46. Applicant Furrier. This is in accordance with the requirements of MGL Chapter 131, Section 40 and Topsfield General Wetlands Bylaw Chapter 62. Meeting participation instructions will be listed in the meeting agenda. Post with the town clerk a minimum of 40 hours prior to the meeting date or contact conservation at topsfield-ma.gov. Susan Winslow.
Yep. So just to clarify, if anyone is attending as an abutter, that this meeting was continued without discussion from that July meeting. So we're beginning our discussion of this agenda item today, and I believe Alec is here to speak to this.
Yep. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right.
Hi.
There's a huge thunderstorm going on in Andover, so I hope I don't lose
Same
power.
here in Topsfield, believe me.
Yeah. Jackie,
Oh my
before we
God,
go,
that was a huge one.
yeah. Can you just confirm that all the receipts were received for the abutters, Jackie?
Yes, they were.
Yes. So they were. There wasn't the butters. It was the notification for the newspaper because I missed the date line. That's what happened. With
Sorry
the,
if I misspoke.
yeah, that's all right. I got married that
Okay.
week, so my schedule is all crazy. But can I share my screen? Can you guys see that screen?
Yes, fine.
Oh,
Well, I
perfect.
could. for a
I just
moment
lost.
there.
We just lost it. There it is.
Yeah, we lost
Can
it.
you guys see the plan now?
Yep.
All
Yep.
right. Hello, my name's Alec Chongers with Chongers Engineering. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Lisa Ferrer, for replacing a septic system on a property at 76 Parsonage Lane. I'll walk you guys through the project. So it's located on Parsonage Lane. The existing system's located in the rear. It's currently in failure, failed the Title V inspection. So we're proposing to replace it with a new Title V system. We do have wetlands in the back, as is shown here. Most of the backyard is lawn. If you can see my mouse, you see the dashed zigzag line. That is all established lawn. And we're replacing the new septic system with we were putting a Presby septic system located in the rear of the yard. It's going to be gravity fed. It just got approval from Board of Health this week as well. It won't be a mounted system. It's going to be kind of level with the property. All the disturbance that's going to be happening within the resource area is all beyond the 50-foot buffer with a very slight grading touching the 50-foot buffer. But again, it's all within established lawn, and it will be reseeded after once the site is stabilized, and it will be reseeded to the lawn that was going to get ripped up from the replacing of the septic system. We're proposing a construction entrance coming in from the side lot. It's kind of a steep terrain coming down here, and we're going to have erosion control set around roughly the 45 to 50-foot buffer. And other than that, I think it's a fairly straightforward septic replacement, and happy to take any questions you guys have.
Sure. I'm seeing a proposed stockpile area.
Yep.
Dodds and Jen, I don't know. I remember hearing often that we don't allow stockpiling, but I just noticed that.
Okay.
Yep. So that's just just like when they're digging up, they have to excavate the soil out. So they're taking out the A and B layers. So it's just they have to put the soil somewhere while they put the pipes in for the septic system. So it's a very short term stockpile. It's not like a true stockpile. We'll be sitting there for days and vegetation will be growing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Anyone else?
I'll also note this plan was recently revised just to correct the numbering of the flags and the drawing of the buffer zone line. I'm comfortable with the way that those have been revised. I did review the wetland line and I have no issues with it. Yeah, I think that's all I had to say about this one.
Just to Andrew's point, oh my God, this lightning is crazy. Just to thunder rather. Um, just to Andrew's
Jen, we lost you. Jen?
on the, can you hear me?
Yeah, now
we
we can.
lost you for a second there.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry about that. It's just, I think it's just this weather possibly
Yeah.
affecting my connection.
Start it over with.
So I'm gonna just turn off my video just to conserve resources. So my point was just that in the order of conditions, perhaps we can indicate to Andrew's point that the stockpile is temporary and solely for the purpose of, the replacement of this or installation of the new system, and will be obviously be removed after.
Sure, I like that.
Could you hear
Yep, that's
that? Okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine. All right, anything else, anyone?
All set with me.
All right, I suggest a motion to close the hearing.
I'll put forward a motion to close the hearing with respect to NOI 307-0859 for 76 Parsonage Lane.
This is Jen. I'll second that motion.
Okay, and how do we vote? Dodge Shamrock, aye.
Jen DeCarlo, aye.
Andrew Mulholland, aye.
Maureen, thumbs up or down, as Andrew says. I don't see her at all.
I think recently. I see her, but I'm not hearing anything.
Oh, point like this, maybe on the, if you can see her, maybe.
Okay,
she
I
can
saw a
see
thumbs
you.
up from
Okay.
Maureen.
Okay, good. All right. And then we needed a motion to issue orders of conditions.
Sure. I can put forward a motion to issue an order of conditions for MA DEP file 307-0859 for 76 Parsonage Lane, map 24, lot 46, under the act and the bylaw for the work as proposed and shown on the revised plan dated 8/8/25 with the usual and special conditions, and that it be noted that the proposed stockpiling location is temporary and to be removed basically as soon as possible. Once the backfilling has happened.
This is Jen DeCarlo. I'll second that motion.
And how do we all vote? Dodge Shamrock, aye.
Jen DeCarlo, aye.
Andrew Mulholland, aye.
We can't, I'm sorry.
Okay, I see a thumbs up from Maureen.
Good. Okay. Wait a minute, that
That's it.
was the one to order of conditions, right? So we're all set with that?
All set.
Yeah.
Great.
Dodds,
Yeah. What?
before you continue, and probably for the public's benefit, I think we should probably welcome you back. I mean,
Oh.
for those people that haven't been
Oh,
here.
maybe. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, just
Thanks,
because,
Jen.
listen, you're our chair, and we've missed you for the last couple of months, and now you got to kind of get back into the swing of it, and this is no easy feat. So, welcome back. We missed you, and
Thank you, Jen.
you're doing a great job so far.
I am a little bit rusty. I grant you on that one.
No, you're doing great, but I figure
Okay.
for everybody else's benefit, Dodds was away for a few months. We missed her greatly, and now she's stepping back into her role after that departure. So,
And for all of you on the board, feel free to help me out.
Awesome. Well,
Hi,
welcome.
Maureen.
Thank you, guys.
and welcome back to Maureen too. But I think Maureen, you've already been here one meeting, and so Maureen, I know we can't communicate, but also welcome back to Maureen, who is
Definitely
also
back to Maureen.
away.
Yeah.
It's good to have everybody back.
And good health for the witches, for everyone. All right, so moving on, we're now at NOI 307-0860 for 8 Fox Run, map 47.
5
Pardon?
Fox Run.
Did I read it wrong? Oh, looks like an 8. 5 Fox Run, thanks. Map 37, lot 28. Evel and Bernard replace the failed septic system. And we need to read the legal notice on that one, Andrew.
Sure thing. A public hearing will be held by remote participation through video and/or audio conference on Wednesday, August 13th, 2025 at 7 p.m. To consider the notice of intent for septic system replacement in buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland and riverfront area at 5 Fox Run Road. That's map 47, lot 28, applicant Evol. This is in accordance with requirements of MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, and Topsfield General Wetlands Bylaw Chapter 62. Meeting and participation instructions will be listed on the meeting agenda, posted with the town clerk a minimum of 40 hours prior to the meeting date, or contact conservation at topsfield-ma.gov. Susan Winslow.
And do we have the butter receipts?
Yes, we received them.
Oh, good. And I understand Greg Bernard will be presenting this project.
Yes, good evening. For the record, my name is Greg Bernard, representing Mr. Evol of 5 Fox Run Road.
Welcome.
If I can share my screen, I'll share the plan with you.
Sure.
Okay, if you're not familiar with where Fox Run Road is, it's off of River Street, which is also near the intersection of Washington Street. He currently has a 3-bedroom dwelling. Streets down at the bottom of the page, and he has a failed septic system which is located in the front yard. The resource area were flagged in June. In the rear, off of the property, is Slough Brook. Slough Brook is recognized as a river in the local Topsfield bylaw. It is not recognized as a river by the state, and it is not recognized by using stream stats. But however, it is in the Topsfield bylaw. And even though this is about the bank of Slough Brook, the mean annual high water is shown in blue. So it extends here. It's pretty wet. They were delineated the beginning of June. And the BVW is shown in red. In some areas, it's very close to the mean annual high water. It is mostly in the woods or tall shrubs. I'm sorry. Yeah, we'll get it. The edge of lawn follows this tree line right here. So this is all lawn area with a couple of individual trees. So this is the edge of the lawn. There is a wetland flag that comes out into the lawn, just a small portion right in here. And then the rest is lawn up to here. We've moved the system as close to the street as we can. We are allowed to be 10 feet from the street, but I'm only going to have it 12 feet from the street because there's a gas line running right down the front of the lot. So I'd like to stay 10 feet off of that in case there's any mismarkings.
Good.
The existing tank is right here. That's going to be pumped out and filled, and we're going to replace it with a new larger tank that's also going to house a pump chamber. And there's only a small gradient change because there is a high groundwater issue over here. That again, this is going to be a Presby system too, which allows us somewhat of a reduction of groundwater, but we're still going to have to pump it. And what came up in Alec Jongras's discussion on parsonage was the stockpile area. I don't call it out as a stockpile area, but I do show a silt sock going from the right front corner of the house, which has been staked out, and Jackie and I met out there to review it. This is going to be a temporary stockpile area where you can put the material and then put it back in. That's why I moved the silt sock all the way back here, just to allow him some room to swing his bucket and to put his material somewhere.
Yeah,
This
thank you
red
for calling that out.
This red dashed line right here is the 100-foot buffer zone, just barely nips the corner of the field. But again, since we were going to have to stockpile some material here, it calls for a notice of intent.
Thank you.
And with that, I'm open to any questions.
I had a question. I don't recall, were there conservation markers here already or not?
There are no conservation markers currently there.
Okay, maybe we should require them then. Did anyone else
Yeah,
have a question?
I definitely hear you. And the area of work isn't necessarily near that line. I mean, if the homeowner would be okay with it, I'm not opposed to doing it, but
Well,
I don't.
this particular property is under agreement for sale of the house. Mr. Eval may be on the meeting with us, and he may be able to chime in on whether he'd be open to that.
I am here. I just know what the question actually is.
Sure. So one of the things that we sometimes will ask for are, I think they're usually 4x4 or 6x6 posts to basically be put at the limit of sort of the resource area or the sort of no touch zone. And then we have, fairly small orange placards that sort of just delineate that as the sort of no touch zone resource area. I'll ask Jen and Dodds if they have anything else to add to that I might not have explained.
Well, it's mostly lawn, right?
Yeah,
So I mean, it's already been disturbed
Mhm.
unless, and then we have the bank. I'm looking at the map the plan right now to see where it would make sense to put it. I mean, I'm not convinced it's totally necessary because we don't have, if we had a situation, I don't know, Jackie, did you go out to the property?
Yes, I did. I'm just thinking the area where like the wetland is in the lawn, that it might be good to put one there so there's no further encroachment into the wetlands.
Right.
Okay,
Basic,
yeah, that would work. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but basically what we're trying to get across here is that like the lawn shouldn't be expanded any more deeply into the resource area is like it basically what we're trying to do with these conservation markers.
It's actually a perfect idea at this juncture where the property's going to change hands. And we always run into this issue where folks are not fully aware of where the boundaries are of these resource areas. So I'm all for it.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, one question. So it'll be one marker in that one area where he has the mouse, just so I can communicate to the buyers.
Sure.
Yeah.
Are we comfortable with just one marker, or would we want?
I am. I'm also a little, well, I suppose it would be on the do not dig about the gas line.
Well, that area is all
Yeah,
lawn. That's existing lawn. We can't
Right.
ask them
No, no.
to start no touching any of
No,
that.
no. I was thinking I saw one little bit, but I guess I didn't. Was busy looking at something else. Sorry.
Well,
Yep.
Jackie, based on your observations, I mean, how many markers would make sense?
Um, I think at least one just in that spot would make sense.
Okay.
Maybe two
Right.
if you put one on the other side, but
Yeah, I somehow think two might be appropriate, just so people just know that gets their attention.
All right, so you're talking one down here near the edge of the lawn where the wetlands encroach into the lawn, and then maybe one near the property line, so they don't encroach any farther than that way. Even though it's quite a distance from the wetlands, and it drops right off.
Sure.
No,
Sure.
There's a big drop off right there.
So
I would-
yeah, maybe right on like where the drop off really starts to go. Basically, assuming it's not already lawn, because if it's lawn, that's lawn.
It is not
Yeah.
lawn.
Okay.
Well, the lawn on this side goes to about here with where it crosses the 94-foot contour. There's a drop off here.
Mhm.
I mean, this might be a reasonable spot for a second marker.
Okay.
Okay. I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yep. Okay.
Jeff,
I agree.
Jeff, you all right with that?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Greg. Thank you
Good.
all.
I think that's smart to do.
All right,
Just
so
for
we're
the
talking 1-2.
just for the future owner, these owners coming on.
Yeah, we appreciate it because in the future the homeowner might not realize it, and then we don't want any kind of enforcement orders about like lawn expansion or anything like
Well,
that.
exactly. Yeah, we'd like to prevent everything.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Anyone else have anything to say? How about members of the public? No?
Okay.
All right, then I'll suggest, go ahead.
I can make a motion. This is Jen DiCarlo. I'll make a motion that we close the hearing on notice of intent 307-0860 for 5 Fox Run Road, map 47, lot 28, Eval Bernard, for the replacement of a failed septic system.
I'll second that motion.
And how do we vote? Dodge Shamrock, aye.
Jen DiCarlo, aye.
Andrew Mulholland, aye. Still can't hear you more. And we get a thumbs up from Maureen.
All right.
Okay, good. All right,
And then-
next,
I'll make a
oh,
motion.
go right ahead.
That's all right. That's
I
sorry.
was gonna suggest it, you're on it
I'll
first.
I'm trying to move fast in case like the power goes out.
That's a good point. Okay, go for it.
So I will make a motion to issue an order of conditions for Mass DEP file number 307-0860 5 Fox Run Road, map 47, lot 28, under the act and the bylaw for the work as proposed and shown on the plan dated June 30th, 2025, with the usual and special conditions, noting that the wetland delineation is not confirmed with this order of conditions, and with the further condition that 2 conservation markers be installed as discussed at the hearing.
And
And before you
Yeah,
close
go
that, Jen, do you want to add anything about the stockpiling?
Oh, sorry. Was there I'm sorry.
well, you had the silk stock up.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't.
That's okay.
I-
Don't worry. I think we're good with the erosion controls as discussed.
Great. I will second the motion as stated by Jen DiCarlo.
And how do we all vote? Dodge Shamrock, aye.
Jen DiCarlo, aye.
Andrew Mulholland, aye. And a thumbs up from Maureen.
Very good. Well, welcome to the community, folks.
All
Thank
right,
you
thank
all.
you very much.
Hope you enjoyed it here. Bye-bye. Thank you. All right. Next, we have an NOI 3070862 for 9 for 11 South Main Street, map 40, lot 9. Sort of lots 3 to 11 South Main Street. And it's an LLC with a replacement for septic systems, components, installation of a retaining wall, and regrading. And this has to do with, let's see, we need to read the legal notice first. I
Okay,
can go for that first.
sure. A public hearing will be held by remote participation through video and or audio conference Wednesday, August 13th, 2025 at 7 p.m. or time cases reached to consider the notice of intent for replacement of septic system components, installation of retaining wall, and regrading in buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland and 200-foot riverfront area at 9 through 11 South Main Street, map 40, lot 009, applicant 9 through 11 South Main Street, LLC. This is in accordance with requirements of MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, and Topsfield General Wetlands Bylaw Chapter 62. Meeting participation instructions will be listed in the meeting agenda, posted with the town clerk a minimum of 40 hours prior to the meeting date, or contact conservation@topsfield-ma.com.
Okay, and I understand we have the butter mailing. Is that correct?
Yes, we received the butter mailing.
Okay, and is John Moran or Mike DeRosa here?
Yes, for the record, John Moran from the Moran Cameron Group. We're here tonight representing 9 through 11 South Main Street LLC. Also with me tonight is Michael DeRosa. He did the mitigation plan that I'll be talking about as well. That is part of the project. May I share my screen?
Sure, thank you.
I think you should all be able to see the plan, correct?
Yep.
Yes, definitely.
So the
Yes.
resource areas on the property on the left side or the westerly side of the site, there's an intermittent stream channel that's got associated bordering vegetated wetlands. That stream channel is not perennial under the Wetlands Protection Act, but it is perennial under your local bylaw. So we have 100-foot buffer zone associated with the wetlands, and we have the riverfront associated with the branch of the Ipswich River and Cleveland Brook is the way it's labeled in your bylaw. So we have the 100-foot and 200-foot setbacks from the bank. DeRosa Environmental delineated the wetlands. The wetland edge and the mean annual high water are the exact same line, so that's why you only see one line along this property line. This flows down through a culvert, which then goes under Prospect Street. So the red that you see here is the limit of the property. The blue line's heading out from the wetland edge. This is your 100-foot buffer and your 100-foot setback from the mean annual high. Here's your 200-foot setback from your mean annual high. So as you can see, pretty much the entire property is located within your jurisdiction. The proposed project is for the replacement of the septic system out at the back of this property. So 9 through 11 Main Street LLC, the owners of this current building. This building is a mixed-use building. So you can see the building is right here. You got parking on the northeasterly side, and you've got a big parking area and driveway on the southwesterly side. The commission may recall this property. Back in 2019, the commission issued an order of conditions for some minor improvements to the site that
I do.
excuse me?
I do recall it.
Yeah. So there was some minor work out in the back. Actually, part of that work was the installation of this trench, which was to provide some stormwater mitigation for runoff from the existing parking. Well, since that time, we actually received a certificate of compliance for that order of conditions. And 9 through 11 Main Street LLC is now proposing a change of use in this building. So because of things with COVID and just today's economy, the office use that's in this building isn't really needed anymore. So they're looking at converting some of the office space in this building to residential use. We all know that we need residential, so that should be a really good thing for the town. Right now, there's an existing leach field in the back of this building. That's what you see shaded in green right here. That leach field was installed back in 2002. Usually we'd look at trying to add to that existing leach field, to accommodate the change in use. However, at that time in 2002, that leach field got relief for setback to the groundwater, which is allowed under a local upgrade approval. So at that time, the Board of Health approved the reduction of 1 foot for the separation to groundwater. So out on the site, the soils are extremely well drained. And because of that, you're required to have a 5-foot separation between the estimated seasonal high water table and the bottom of your leaching facility. However, when you're doing a repair, you are allowed to request certain local upgrade approvals through the Board of Health, one being a reduction in the setback to the groundwater. At that time, they actually did that back in 2002 and they received it. Because of the fact that we're changing the use and we're increasing the design flow of this facility by changing commercial over to residential, we can't use that existing leach field because it doesn't comply. Since it's new construction, it has to comply with all the regulations. So that leach field actually has to get removed. What you see in yellow is the primary leach bed. And what you see in yellow, just the box, will be the reserve area if that's ever needed. Hopefully it'll never be needed. I mean, like I said, these soils are extremely well drained. This system's been in since 2002. They've never had a problem. This is a pump system. The proposed system is a pump system because, as I had mentioned, the soils, the groundwaters are high, but the soils are extremely well drained. As part of the project, in order to meet the requirements we need for tanks and pump chambers, currently there's an existing septic tank right at the back of the building here. The pump chamber's here. When we did this project back in 2019, we installed a new septic tank here because they were actually changing some uses inside the building and we needed some additional tankage. Well, none of these tanks are big enough now to accommodate the new use, unfortunately. So we're going to have to install all new tanks. But again, they're all within paved surfaces. The proposed leach field is all within an existing lawn. We are going to need to install a retaining wall with an impervious barrier in order to meet breakout. We could have graded the the northwesterly side of the leach field, but it would have been more work in your buffer zone. Currently, this is all existing lawn. However, as you're aware, in your bylaw, work within the buffer zone actually requires relief. And under your bylaw, you're supposed to minimize the alteration within the buffer zone to the extent practicable. Since we needed a retaining wall anyway, we decided to just continue the wall, and that would minimize the amount of disturbance in the buffer zone. So what I'll do now, and if there's no questions with regards to kind of what the proposed project is, I'll run through the riverfront calculations. So this lot was created back in, hold on 1 minute, 1974. So because of that, you're allowed to alter up to 5,000 square feet or 10% of the riverfront area on the property. Total lot area on this lot is 42,995 square feet. Total riverfront area on the lot is 41,042, which, as I pointed out earlier, you can see pretty much the entire property is within your jurisdiction. Based on that 10% threshold, we're allowed to alter 4,100 square feet or 5,000 square feet, whichever is greater. Therefore, the 5,000 square feet is what we'd be allowed to alter. As I previously mentioned, in 2019, we altered 2,160. Well, as I previously mentioned, a filing was done in 2019. In that filing, we altered 2,160 square feet of the riverfront. Because of that, now we only have 2,840 square feet left, because as you know, it's a cumulative effect since the Rivers Act since that section became effective in the Wetlands Protection Act. So we're allowed to alter 2,840 square feet. Within the riverfront, the 4,635 that we are altering, we're only altering 318 square feet in the first 100, and then the remaining 4,317 is the 100 to 200. So again, based on the previous filing, the riverfront that we are allowed to alter right now is 1,795 square feet. Or the overage that we are is 1,795 square feet. Because of that, you need to provide either restoration or mitigation. We're proposing restoration. And Mike DeRosa will get into this in a few minutes. But we had Mike go out, his office went out, did an inventory along the intermittent stream. And if you zoom in here, and I know Jackie was out on a site walk with us, you'll see there's a brush line that kind of runs up on the back of the property. And again, all of this is lawn. So you get a little bit of lawn in here, but all of this is invasives. So what Mike is proposing is we're going to remove all these invasives and revegetate, and he'll go over his plan with you. And then we're actually going to restore this lawn back to natural buffer zone. So what that does is that gets us the mitigation that we need to account for the alteration that we're proposing in the riverfront. As I previously mentioned, under your bylaw, any alteration in the 100-foot buffer zone technically requires relief if it's not considered to be maintenance. So you'd need a waiver provision. Under your regulations, you are allowed to alter up to 400 square feet. Actually, proposed activities in the buffer zone not exceeding a total of an additional 5% or 400 square feet, whichever is less. Well, in this case, it's the 400 square feet. And as I had pointed out, the work within the 0 to 100, which is also the 100-foot buffer, is 318 square feet. So we're actually under that 400 square feet, but you're still required to provide mitigation. So the restoration area that DeRosa Environmental designed actually includes 398 additional square feet to account for the 318 square feet of lawn that we're altering. So this total total mitigation area is around 2,900 square feet. And again, all proposed work within your jurisdiction is all within existing lawn, with the exception of the restoration area back here. So we don't see that the proposed work will have any negative impact on the resource areas or the surrounding areas in this neighborhood. If there's no questions for me at this point, I know I gave you a lot of information. I can have Mike review his work. I'll stop share so he can show his plans, but I don't know if the commission has any questions right now.
The I so far sounds very reasonable to me. And this may be slightly outside of our jurisdiction to ask, but so feel free to not answer. But the intention of the residential space is to be used as like a single family or as multiple sort of apartments.
They're apartments.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, there's already apartments in the structure.
Okay. Understood. Thank you.
Okay, if no one else, Mike, are you
Just
around?
gonna ask whether it's, during the next part of the presentation or now, if there's any photos, maybe Jackie's gonna share some of those photos with respect to the mitigation restoration area. Just to get a better sense of it.
I
Yeah, I
can
can-
share my screen, yeah, and go through
Hi, Mike.
conservation plan. Hi, everyone. Mike DeRosa, DeRosa Environmental. Everyone can see that. And you can hear me okay? The
Yeah.
sky is exploding up here in Newbury. It's
Same here in Topsfield.
unbelievable. So as John was saying, our task on this project was to come up with a mitigation plan for riverfront area. And I'll zoom in. We picked this area in back based on our invasive species inventory. We have all the usual suspects back here, winterberry, sorry, that's a native. We've got multiflora rose, Asiatic bittersweet, and a number of things. And like John said earlier, the brush line shows sort of the limit of lawn. So not only are we going to be taking out invasives and putting back natives in some of the occupied spaces, but we're going to be also converting a portion of lawn back here too. So that's a good thing. But we're bringing back canopy, shrub, and herbaceous, as we always do. We've got red maple for the canopy. We are adjacent to the brook here. And so we're up above it. It's about 4 or 5 feet above the grade of the brook. But it's nice soil, nice sandy soil that you'd expect next to a stream, and all these plants should do well. We have in the shrub layer, we have, go to the plant list here. We have red maple in the canopy. We got gray dogwood, arrowwood viburnum, and sweet pepper bush, they're all facultative, so they'll all do well in that area. And then we're going to intermix a whole series of perennial wildflowers, milkweed, showy aster, evening primrose, and then we've got hay-scented fern, an upland goldenrod, switchgrass, red fescue, and little blue stem for grasses. So it's a diverse community. It's going to provide a lot of habitat, especially next to the stream, and will meet the requirements of the Wetlands Protection Act and riverfront area by improving the first 100 feet of the riverfront area, which is this green line. So if there's any questions, I can answer those, or give it back to John.
Do I dare tell you my kids went to their pediatrician in that office?
Dr. Carpenter was my pediatrician back in the day.
Which one?
Dr. Carpenter.
Sure, Carpenter and the other fellow still lives at Great Hill.
That's right.
Okay.
It was
Yeah. Cool.
crazy, crazy. We're seeing all the changes.
Yeah, that's for sure. I didn't dare
Sounds very reasonable.
think I wanted to
Right.
mention it.
I from my perspective, this sounds very reasonable. It's mostly an existing law and the changes. My understanding is, and restoration area. I think based on the calculations that you showed, make up for it very reasonably. So I think it sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, I guess my comment that I'm just thinking is that we may want a conservation marker in
Yeah.
front of the new restoration area to make sure that's maintained. But yeah, did anyone want to see photos of the area?
Yes, please.
I can show
Sure.
those.
I have some too.
Oh yeah, you can go ahead. You probably have
Should I share?
better ones. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oops. So this is looking back. Let's see. This is looking back to the building. So you can see the multi-floor rows here. This is all lawn here. This is where John's going to be doing the septic improvements, which is all lawn.
Mhm.
This is the multi-floor rows. You can see the garlic mustard in here. This is that corner of the mitigation area. This is looking back into it. Lots of garlic mustard, which we're going to excavate out.
Well,
This is the area that we're going to convert to plantings.
that should make it a lot nicer.
Yeah. So it's a lot of multi-floor rows. All the woody invasives are here. And that's sort of the lawn area.
Seems like a really nice upgrade, independent of anything else.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
Yeah, it looks good. I think I agree with Jackie. This is Jen. On a conservation marker, particularly in this case where it's sort of isolated the restoration area from, the lawn. So to kind of put everybody on notice, like, don't touch this. So I'm in agreement with her. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, and our client won't have any issues with that.
Good. Did anyone, are you finished? Are you finished? I'll ask the public if they have anything.
I don't have anything else to add, John.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
All right. Does the public have anything they want to say about this? Looks good.
I
You
can
want-
make a motion if we're ready for it.
Sure, go ahead.
I will make a motion that we close the hearing on notice of intent 3070862. That's for 9-11 South Main Street, map 40, lot 9, 9-11 South Main Street LLC.
I'll second that motion.
And how do we vote? Dodge Shamrock, aye.
Jen DeCarlo, aye.
Andrew Mulholland, aye.
Maureen Bresnahan, aye.
Yay! All right.
Oh, yay.
Okay, we're back in action.
I'm on two devices. I'm on my laptop and my phone.
Oh my goodness.
Well, we're glad.
Glad to hear your voice.
I will then make a motion to issue an order of conditions for Mass DEP file number 3070862. That's for 9-11 South Main Street, map 40, lot 9, under both the act and the bylaw for the work as proposed and shown on the plan dated July 11th, 2025, with the usual and special conditions, noting that the wetland delineation is not confirmed with this order of conditions, and with the additional condition that a conservation marker be installed at the border of the newly installed restoration / mitigation area.
I'll second that motion.
And how do we vote? Dodge Shamrock, aye.
Jen DeCarlo, I.
Andrew Mulholland, aye.
Maureen Bresnahan, aye.
Okay, well, it'll be interesting to see how it comes out, fellas, and good luck with the project. Go
Thank
ahead.
you very much. Have a good night.
Yeah, you as well.
Good night,
Um,
everyone.
Good night.
Dodds, before we move on, I'm not sure that we asked the public for any input on.
I did.
Oh, you did
I
on
did that.
76?
Yeah,
On
yeah.
the first one we did?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Oh,
Apologies.
wait, you mean South Main Street? No, the first, oh, that's right. Wait a minute.
So we continued the first one, so I think that's fine, but I'm not sure that the second one that we did was 76.
Oh, you might
Parsonage
be
Lane.
right, Andrew. Want to go back to that for one quick second?
Maybe.
Yeah. All right, folks, we're kind of reopening Parsonage 76 Parsonage Lane. Did we ask any of you that were out there if they had any input on it? Looks good. Okay.
Sorry, I don't mean to derail us.
No, that's all right. And I know I just asked these people and I'm thinking,
Yeah.
that's all right. No,
Yeah.
thanks, Andrew. Look, we all gotta have balances and checks. Next, we have a request for a certificate of compliance for an OOC 3070849 for 294 Perkins Row, map 26, lot 21, Luther. And DG Johnson Engineering. And is someone there to give us a quick briefing on this?
Yes, good evening. Chuck Johnson from CG Johnson Engineering.
Good evening.
Yeah, the project has been completed. The Blake Seal and Hathorn Construction did a wonderful job. It's a bottomless sand filter for Holger and Nancy Luther. We
Good.
do have the certificate of compliance from the Board of Health, and we're requesting the certificate from the Conservation Commission.
Jackie, have anything further to add to this?
I visited the site. It looked according to plan. There were nice photos submitted if anyone had a chance to look at them. But I think it was in full compliance, matching the plan as stated in the letter. So I'm all good with it.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, would someone like to make a motion?
I can put forward a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for MADEP file number 307-0849 for 249 Perkins Row, map 27, lot 21, with continuing conditions as specified in the order of conditions.
I will second that motion. This is Jen DeCarlo.
Yep. And how do we vote? Dodge Shamrock, aye.
Jen DeCarlo, I.
Andrew Mulholland, aye.
Maureen Bresnahan, aye.
Good. Well, thank you.
Terrific.
I'm glad it came out so well.
Thank you very much.
And thanks for coming.
Okay.
Bye. Next we have an RDNI 20725-17 for 13 Perkins Circle, map 27, lot 17. Oh, I had it earlier in my mind. Heliosis to install a fence.
Heliotis.
I'm sorry. I had it and then I lost it. Boom. Okay. Do we have the applicant speaking to us?
Yeah,
I've met you
I'm here.
before.
This is
Hi.
hi. This is John. Yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
So we would like to install a fence in a part of our backyard.
Mhm.
And the primary reason is because we have two small puppies that we've adopted, and they're on the smaller side, the type of dog they are, and they grow to be. So
Mhm.
we would like to fence a part of the yard in so that they have a place to run around, and we would like to be able to play with them back there.
I certainly understand you when it comes to that.
Yeah. sorry, because Dodds was not on the previous meeting, Jackie, I don't know if you have a plan or someone has a plan that we can just pull up just to let Dodds get filled in on. what
Yeah,
we're
so there was a revision since our last meeting to the plan. I'm having trouble, my like Zoom screen is not showing the share screen button. So I don't know, Andrew, do you have the Dropbox?
I can just give
Well-
me 30-ish seconds or 15 seconds, hopefully, to pull it up. But I can pull that up, yes.
And if it helps, I went to the office and saw some of this the other day.
I mean, Dodds, if you're comfortable with it, then we don't necessarily need to show it, but I'm
Yeah,
just
I would like-
trying to be.
I'll describe it for now. So the prior
Okay.
plan, the prior plan showed a fence enclosing a portion of the backyard behind the house, and then it also had like a linear fence extending along the edge of the property towards the front.
Right.
So we had discussed at the last meeting that the type of fence that the applicant was proposing in the back had this mesh hanging down that we thought might be a hazard to wildlife or the dogs if they get stuck in the fence. So we had asked if we could consider a different type of fence, and then we had asked for the portion of the fence running towards the street because that part was not enclosing the dogs. If that part could have gaps in it to allow wildlife movement. So the applicant revised the plan to remove that portion of the fence, deciding that it was not necessary and only put in the fence in the back that is meant to enclose the dogs.
Mhm.
And
I don't know if
then
you can see my screen, but I think I was able to pull it up.
Yeah, I do.
that's it.
Yep.
So
I
that's
do.
the revised plan with the prior segment of the fence now removed from it. And then we also have a graphic of the type of fence that the applicants are now proposing, and to get our feedback on whether we'd approve it.
Is it the wooden one with the vertical slats in it?
Yeah, that's the plan. We want to put a wooden fence, something that will
Yes.
probably, I think that one's not even wooden. I think that's a vinyl one. I was trying to find I have better pictures, but just a basic fence, probably privacy fence. We're at the beginning for the back, we were considering something like this, and we still are, but frankly, we're not picky. Anything that's going to keep bigger dogs from jumping over and going to our dogs, or our dogs from getting out.
Yeah.
Anything that would prevent like a coyote, for example.
Right.
And this is not in the buffer zone or anything up here?
I think a portion of it is, if I'm remembering correctly, Jackie.
Mhm.
I think it is within riverfront area. I think pretty much the entire area.
Was in Riverfront?
Yeah, and if memory serves correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Jackie and Jen and Maureen, the reason that we wanted to come back to this and not have the sort of usual 4-inch or whatever we require space underneath is that we didn't actually necessarily want wildlife coming up into this space, because it essentially was just going to be going into the road. I might be totally misremembering that. So
Can I interject something?
yeah.
Having dogs and knowing that they're diggers, it worries me that these are little guys and they might dig under it. I know I'm throwing a whole monkey wrench into the whole thing. But as a pet owner of 4 little dogs, I don't want these folks to put up a whole fence and then the next minute they're out. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
I don't think I've ever heard of it happening with these fences that have like a small gap underneath, but who knows? But if I recall correctly from the last meeting, I think we decided that we were more concerned about the wildlife movement for the portion of the fence in front because it wasn't
That's
meant to
right. We
enclose
did
the
mention
dog.
that. Yeah,
And
yeah,
it also could direct things into the road, which we wouldn't want.
no,
But now that part is taken out, so I guess the idea is that now, wildlife could at least, like, move around the fencing area without having to, go into the road. Um,
definitely. If the front is stopped, that's definitely a main area. It would concern me. I have little dachshunds and their last name is Hound and they do dig.
Mhm.
yeah, I guess the question is then if the commission is open to, any type of fence, that doesn't have, like, the mesh that we were concerned about before, if there's any restriction we would put on the type of fence in the back.
Well, I didn't mean to open a whole can of worms, as I said, but
I'm
I
just trying to remember. Maybe it was like a satellite image that would shed light on our rationale. I looked back at the minutes and I didn't see anything very specific about our discussion, unfortunately. I suppose I could look at the recording, but I know the front of it seemed to be an unnecessary impedance over wildlife travel, and this house is not that far off from the road. Um I'm trying to remember what I just don't recall.
I
Wasn't
think
it
that
like
Jen, I think that there was an image that was provided that showed proposed fencing that included um, mesh portions at the bottom edge that looked like it might be potentially dangerous to wildlife. And I think that we were concerned about that particular fence design in addition to this alteration for the portion that goes out to the road.
yeah, the I think also wasn't there discussion about like a split rail fence? Like the fence was very different, so it kind of needed if you were going to use it as a
this
barrier.
this is a definite way better deterrent than a split rail, for
Yeah, I
sure.
think we had discuss the split rail as an option for the front where we didn't need to enclose.
Oh,
the
okay,
dog,
okay.
but now that part is removed.
I just don't
Anyways.
recall the fence, the design of the fence previously. But
yeah.
I think I think I agree with you, Maureen, and I think the mesh was sort of making up for gaps in the fence. Already there being gaps in the fence, so it probably was not a proper fencing choice. If you have to, compensate with this other mesh, and that seemed to impede quite a bit. But I also think because the dogs are going to be enclosed in that area, on the flip side of this, like the whole purpose of this, right, is to keep dogs inside. So we don't
Exactly.
necessarily want wildlife going into this enclosed area to be terrorized. Not that your dogs are going to be terrorists, but instinctually are might become prey for those dogs. So if I think about it that way, as long as we're keeping that front channel open, which it sounds like we are now, then I think this is a fine idea. Um, if you felt that you needed the mesh or it wasn't going to be, I
No,
suppose you could come back to us, right? If it's a problem.
no, sorry. I mean, the reason that we even were discussing a mesh in the beginning, and sorry I missed the first meeting, but for whatever reason, in my mind, I thought it would be something that conservation would prefer. But if I would prefer whatever kind of fence that's going to keep our dogs safe, right? So I've committed to my family that I'm going to keep them
Mhm.
safe for specific reasons. We had a dog and she ran out um, to the
I
street and she was hit by a car.
I
So
understand completely.
the whole purpose of the fence is to keep our dogs safe, right? And to ensure that, because they're small dogs, I don't want, and there's a lot of big dogs in our neighborhood as well.
Mhm.
And we're going to obviously always watch over them. That goes without saying. But, in the anything can happen in an instance, right? So I just want to make sure that there's no accidental something that can happen.
So it sounds like the wire mesh or whatever mesh is a non-issue at this point. That you've selected fencing, or you may use this fence. Generally, this is the kind of fence you're gonna have back there. It may vary to some degree. So I mean, perhaps if we're gonna vote to approve this fence and you have some other issue down the road, it's not effective, then you can come back to us at that point if you find that you need to literally modify it and install some other barrier. But it sounds like that's not what you're asking for anyway at this point, and
Mhm.
you've removed the fencing along the front
Mhm.
portion of the lot, right? So I think it's up to him if he feels like he needs something else to protect the dogs.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I'm okay with not doing anything else or.
Yeah. The only thing that I'll add is that potentially one of our conditions or things we add on are that your final decision for the fence style be sent to Jackie so that she can confirm that it's something that we would approve. Because the image you shared, I know you said that it might not be exactly this. So I just the final thing that you choose before you put it in, just send over to Jackie.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just with, think about a regular wooden cedar fence, privacy, for example.
Yep.
6 feet high, whatever, traditional fence, nothing.
Right.
I totally understood.
Yeah.
I just asked that like a whatever rendering or a photo of the pile of stuff before you install it be sent to
Sure.
Jackie.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I'll just reiterate the requirements for a determination of negligible impact for a fence as outlined in our regulations, is that it needs to be installed using handheld tools rather than machinery in existing lawn area, which it is. And yep, and then otherwise approved by us at this meeting. So.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So, I don't know, any other I can make a motion if we're ready for that.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So I will make a motion to issue a determination of negligible impact for RDNI 2025-17 for 13 Perkins Circle, map 27, lot 17, with the standard conditions, and in particular, those conditions referring to the installation of fences, and based on the revised plan that was provided to us with that front piece of fencing removed.
I second the motion.
And how do we vote? Doug Shamroth, aye.
Jen DeCarlo, I.
Andrew Mulholland, aye.
Maureen Bresnahan, aye.
Okay, good luck with your fence, sir.
Thank you.
Next we have an RDNI for 20725-19 for 10 School Street and 35 Rear Main Street, map 41, lot 60 and lots 163. For Topsfield Garages LLC, conduct a soil testing for a septic system.
Okay. Good evening, Chuck Johnson from CG Johnson Engineering.
Okay, hi again.
Yeah, I am representing Topsfield Garages LLC, which is Tim Collins. And Tim with Jackie, I think yesterday or the day before, walked the property. Bill Manuel took care of the wetland and top of bank flagging adjacent to School Brook. And the 10 School Ave property is the former Department of Public Works garage building. And so Tim is in the process of purchasing that property and as well as the adjacent property at 35R Main Street. And so we need to do soil testing. The intent for the development of the property is to convert the garage building into a restaurant, which will be wonderful for downtown Topsfield. And so the filing is so that I can do soil testing for a septic system for the high-strength waste for the restaurant, both on the 10 School Ave property as well as 35R Main Street. And all of the soil testing that I'm proposing to do will be more than 100 feet away from the wetlands and the top of bank, but less than 200 feet from the riverfront. And then in addition, we did have a revision today to the plans to add proposed soil testing for stormwater mitigation. And that would be in front of the DPW garage building, but more, so it would be within the 100-foot buffer, but it would be more than 50 feet from the brook. And I'm not able to share my screen, so I'm not sure. It sounded, Jackie, from a previous project that you're not able to share your screen.
Yeah, I'm working on pulling it up if that's something the commission or you would like to have.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I have some photos and the overall plans in the file. Yeah, my screen is still glitching where I can't reach the button for the share screen,
Sure.
unfortunately.
Okay, I don't know exactly which file, but I'll start with this one.
Very good. Yeah, that's perfect. So this is the 10 School Ave property. Down to the left lower corner is School Avenue coming from Main Street. And then as you're entering into 10 School Ave, then to the left, you're looking at the DPW, the former DPW garages building. And so the where the arrow is now and what is shown as highlighted in yellow, that's the 100-foot buffer zone. And then the other parallel line is the 200-foot riverfront line. And I'm proposing to do soil testing in the A, B, and C areas. So behind the garages, and then also a little bit within the riverfront and outside the riverfront in the B area. And then the same within and outside of the 200-foot riverfront for the C area. So that's the soil testing for the septic for 10 School Ave. And then you'll see in red, that was added today by Jay from Hancock Associates, who'll be doing the stormwater mitigation, working with me, part of the design team. And you can see that he made a note that he'll make sure that he stays more than 50 feet away from the flagging adjacent to the brook.
Mhm.
So this is the first of two plans. So if anyone has any questions about this, I'll be happy to answer.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, and so then there's a second plan with the proposed soil testing for 35R Main Street.
Okay, is that on the same file? Sorry, I'm trying to,
I think it's in a different file.
is it in the request itself?
I think so. Yeah, the request had the old.
Okay, I'll pull it up and
and
someone can direct me.
Yeah, so yeah. Yeah, scroll one more plan down.
Yep. So this one has been replaced by the new plan, but this
Right
one
there.
remains the same.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can rotate this on Dropbox, so I apologize, but
Yeah, well, it's very, very clearly shown here. Even though you don't really have to, we don't have to turn our heads 90 degrees, but you can see that the highlighted in yellow, that first line parallel with School Brook, that's the 100-foot buffer. and then the other is the 200-foot riverfront. And I'll be proposing soil testing, making sure that I don't go past the 100-foot buffer zone with any soil testing. And the reason why I know that I won't be going past is because Hancock Associates is part of the design team, and their surveyors are taking care of the topography. And I have flagged 54 trees, which are 5 inches in diameter or larger. And so the Hancock Associates is providing to me their existing conditions topography with all the different trees shown. And so I'll know where I am and make sure that I stay outside of the 100-foot buffer zone.
Wow.
I also attached photos in the Dropbox folder if anyone wants to see how that area looks currently.
So I'm seeing this.
I think that's area A on 10 School Ave. That's looking towards area B, which is behind the building. Not very visible, but it's back there, but partly out of the buffer riverfront. And then this is 35R Main Street, looking in a few different directions. I had a few different photos. So that area is undeveloped.
And if I'm correct, right here is the box top shop. Is that?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, Andrew.
Okay.
Thanks for asking.
Very good.
Okay.
Yep.
And then I've got this. Okay. Happy to bring any files back up that anyone wants to see in more detail. But I think in general, sounds straightforward to me. In terms of the work as proposed. I see that normally this would be administrative review, Jackie, but because it's on undeveloped land, it needed to come before us.
That's right.
And then what's the difference between the storm, just for my own knowledge base, the storm water testing versus like septic testing? Like what are they, how are they like kind of different from each other, like in terms of how deep you need to dig or work that needs to be done?
Very good question. So in terms of for the septic system, we're supposed to dig holes, deep soil testing holes that are, if we can get down 10 feet, we will. And so we have to do a minimum. If this were a repair for a septic system for a single family home, we just do 2 deep holes, and then we do 1 percolation test, which is more like, say, 3 feet down, something like that. Now, the stormwater, and of course, because we're soil testing for a restaurant for new construction, we'll be doing more than just 2 deep holes and 1 perk test. We'll be doing several to give us as much flexibility for the design for the septic. So that's the septic part. So 10 feet deep for the deep holes. In terms of for the stormwater, that's really Jay from Hancock Associates will determine how far down he really has to dig to know what is important for him to see. And especially because where he'd be soil testing in between the garage building and the brook, there's not a huge amount of grade change there. And so knowing that you have the seasonal high water table anyway fairly close, and I'm not sure how long ago that DPW building was built. So I'm not sure how deep
Many years.
dig.
1951.
51. Okay. Very good. Thank you, Tim. That's Tim Collins. Who is
I can tell you, you know.
Okay, I thank you for giving that explanation. In terms of our standard conditions for, I think, I don't know that explicitly stormwater testing has come before us. I might be totally wrong about that. But just in terms of our conditions with soil testing, that involves, if you have to take soil out, it needs to have erosion controls around it, all that kind of standard condition. Jackie, I just want to confirm that like our soil testing conditions are both for septic and for stormwater, and it's not just specifically septic.
I believe so. I think it still would be a form of soil testing.
Okay.
The same conditions would apply.
Great.
Yeah, typically in terms of for septic soil testing, when we're digging holes, we dig holes, we look at them, and then we backfill them. And there's really no need for any hay bales or silt fence or anything like that.
Understood. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. The only other note that I'm seeing is about if any trees are going to need to be cut for this. All right. What is there a plan to have any mature trees or any smaller trees have to be removed in order to do this testing?
There's none.
Okay.
And again, we flagged, I flagged 54 trees, and that was really for purpose of knowing where I am when I'm soil testing. So there is no intent to take down any trees for the soil testing.
Jackie, I see that you have a note on that. Does that sufficiently answer your point on that?
Yeah, typically, the standard conditions for soil testing include that no trees shall be cut, damaged, or removed. So that's good.
Sounds good to me.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Okay, well, Andrew, do you want to go ahead and issue a motion?
Sure, I can put forward a motion to issue a determination of negligible impact for RDNI 2025-19 for 10 School Ave and 35R Main Street. That's map 41, lots 060 and 133 with the standard conditions.
I will second. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead, Maureen.
I'll second the motion.
And how do we vote? Todd Shamroth, aye.
Jen DeCarlo, aye.
Andrew Mulholland, aye.
Maureen Bresnahan, aye.
Okay, well, we'll look forward to hearing more to come.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Okay, take care.
You too. Next we have an RDNI for 2025-18 for 83 Wenham Street, map 71, lot 2, LaGrosse, remove invasive flora combined with enforcement order at 83. So we have a few things to discuss, Jackie, so I'm not sure how you want to start with this one.
Yeah, I guess I'll start by explaining the situation. So I had observed a vehicle and like machine clearing vegetation at the edge of the lawn at 83 Wenham Road, which the area was in the buffer zone. The homeowner invited me on site to discuss what was going on. He stated that he was removing invasive species and would revegetate the area afterwards. I observed soil disturbance only a few feet away from the wetland. I asked him and the contractor to stop work. I discussed the invasive plants on site and explained that the permit would be required to make sure that it's being done properly to protect the wetlands. And then I sent a violation notice requiring the applicant to appear at tonight's meeting for further discussion. I think that, so this is an enforcement, but then there's also the RDNI. The homeowner has applied for an RDNI to continue partially after the fact approve removal of invasive species and to continue removing additional invasive plants on the site. So at this point in time, there are sort of two different things for us to consider. One would be whether or not to approve the plan in the RDNI application for removal of invasive plants, and then if so, how would we condition that? And then the other item would be for enforcement to decide on what we are compelling the applicant to do to address the disturbance of the soil and the work that's already gone on. Typically, if there's restoration that we are requiring, we need to do an enforcement order, because if we only approve an RDNI, that doesn't compel the applicant to do the work. It just allows them to do the work. So sort of two different things, but addressing a similar issue. I think I uploaded to the folder the RDNI application and a few photos that I took on site. The application also contains more photos of the areas where Jason was looking to remove more invasive plants. Jason, did you want to speak to this or explain?
Yeah, absolutely. So the main goal of this work,
Would you introduce yourself, sir, please?
of course, I'm Jason LaGrosse. I own it 83 Wenham Road. I've worked with the commission a couple times. We put a pool in, and yeah, like
Okay.
you guys wasn't trying to bypass anything. When we put the pool in, when William Sprague was out here, and then when Jackie was out here, I misunderstood a statement that they made, which was that invasive plants can be removed. I thought that meant I was clear to do so. I didn't know that it required an additional permit. So when Jackie said that the other day, we instantly stopped work. I had the RDNI application in her hand same day with pictures. And the big thing that we're trying to do with this project is we have very bad bittersweet vines here that are just starting to choke out trees. We had one tree that lost a very large limb as a result of vines. So, I got in touch with my friend who does tree work for me about trying to clear all these vines from these trees. And to get to them, a lot of these vines, to pull them down, they're very tough to pull down. Like I'm not like it's not practical to expect someone to climb up to unwind some of these bittersweet vines. So the machinery was unfortunately necessary. He uses a tractor that has a grapple that could reach 10 plus feet up in the air, grab the vine and basically pull it down. To get his tractor in close enough to the trees requires removing some of the plants that are in the way. Otherwise, he's just going to tear them up anyway. And when he initially pitched this to me, he was showing me that a lot of these plants that would be torn up are invasive as well. So we have a lot of buckthorn, we have a lot of multiflora rose. I've even started pulling out some Japanese knotweed. So we have a lot of these invasive plants that Jackie actually had taken a picture of one of the bushes. The picture that Andrew had just pulled up a second ago was a multiflora bush. So in the back of his trailer right there, Jackie even took a picture and confirmed it was multiflora. These vines are so bad back there that I have a picture on my phone because I thought it was kind of ironic. These vines have actually wrapped around the conservation sign. So I've worked with the town with you guys before when we took trees down and planted new trees. I, at this point, have, I've planted probably 30 trees in the past year on the property alone between apple trees and the trees as part of the certificate of compliance for the pool work and the tree removal.
Nice.
I am very much for, conservation and everything. And I thought I was doing the right thing. So I am sorry that I didn't. Now that I know that there's a permit process, I went through this. I defined 6 areas. where I want to do this work. I can actually share this as well, so it's not turned if you'd like, Andrew.
Yeah, that'd be great. I just was trying to support. I don't know.
Of course. No, it was great. So you can see that basically area 1 is where the initial work had started. The big thing there is that, like I mentioned, we're trying to get to the trees to be able to remove the vines, remove any other invasive stuff. Over here is mostly multiflora, with some occasional overgrown. Oh, what's the other one? I'm blanking on the name of it. But basically, remove that and clean up those vines. Area 2, we have a lot of plants that are starting to really encroach onto the existing lawn. This picture is from the certificate of compliance that I did many months ago. It's just the latest one I had, so sorry, it's not much more up to date. But this now is a few feet over. And I wanted to remove a lot of this, not just to reclaim my lawn, but also to get the invasives that are growing in this out. This is a bunch of different types of bushes. I forget what they were, Jackie, maybe you remember, but I just don't know of a way to remove all of that without taking out what's currently there. So, maybe if you guys have some other ideas on that, we can talk about it. Area 3, same thing. We have a bunch of trees back here that are full-grown trees that are just starting to get constricted by vines. This is in Area 3 is where the tree I mentioned that lost a huge limb is. So we just basically want to clean that back. Area 4, there's a lot of buckthorn. There's crabapple trees that are just basically starting to sprawl out into the yard as well. So we want to clean those up and, at least try to keep the crabapple trees as cross pollinators. I know they technically are invasive, but it's a good cross pollinator, and it really attracts the bees. So I would like to keep that if possible, but we want to push that wood line back a little bit. I know the tough part is if we start to push back and remove the buckthorn and remove the crabapple trees, where do we stop, right? So ideally, I'd only want to remove as much as we absolutely have to. But there, once again, trying to do all this work, there might be other impact, which is unfortunate. But area 5, same exact thing. This one, we just have stuff reaching out across the yard at this point. It's the same thing as the other ones that I've mentioned. This one has less vines and a lot more of the buckthorn, but there's also a lot of overgrown sumac and other stuff that are starting to lean over into the yard. Area 6 has bittersweet and buckthorn growing in the middle of the yard as a bush. I just want to rip that out. One thing that's not on here with Area 6 also is that we have some dead limbs that are overhanging that do still have some canopy. The trees themselves are on the other side of our rock wall, so they are in the wetlands. But Jackie mentioned that as long as it's less than 30% of the tree canopy, we should be good to remove like a limb.
10%.
10%. Understood. We are talking about removing like a single limb on a tree. We're not talking about removing like more than that. And that's just these limbs are overhanging. They're not doing very well. We're already having leaves dropping on them. So these limbs plus it's a lot of weight overhanging. That's making, that is not healthy for the tree to be reaching out that far this way when the tree is back here primarily. So, knocking those, it's literally 2 limbs off will just help those trees to live a little bit stronger. So that's the entire plan. So I'm here if you guys have any other questions, but Jackie did see the site. We talked a lot. I forwarded along pictures with markings of each area. So you guys can, correlate the area number to the picture, and yeah, let me know if there's any other questions.
Jackie, this is Jen. I mean, one of the concerns I have, or what I'm hearing, and maybe I'm mishearing it, is this idea of expansion of lawn by removing these areas, reclaiming areas. I definitely heard that in the presentation, pushing back and taking back. And that kind of concerns me because it seems like removal of invasives is one thing, but not losing that area is another entirely. So, I mean, can you speak to that, Jackie, and what you observed? Because I guess that's one thing I would want to be really clear on. This isn't about expanding lawn.
Yeah, so I guess all I observed was that plants had been removed. I know Jason said that he was planning on planting seeds to replace it with native plants, but um, it was early in the process, so that had not happened yet because the removal of plants was not completed. So I mean, I can't know for sure whether the plan was to expand the lawn or not, but just to be clear that expanding the lawn would require like a full notice of intent, and would require mitigation. It might not even be possible under our regulations, depending on what the project is, because um, past permits probably required that the vegetated areas be maintained um, to the extent that they exist. That's usually a continuing condition even after you get a certificate of compliance. Um, I understand that invasive removal and replacing it with natives is a great project. I support that mission. Um, I think I'm most concerned about the machinery being used, and the soil disturbance from that. I think we need to stabilize the area with sedimentation controls. I know we had discussed on site whether mulch could be used as erosion control. Um, it can be used as erosion control, but we also need sedimentation control, um, and that consists of like some sort of barrier around the limit of work, um, preventing like sediments from the loose soil to from getting out. So I'd propose that where there is loose soil currently, that we put like a silt sock at the edge, um, just because it's especially because it's so close to the wetlands. Like the disturbed soil is only a few feet away from the wetland, in a certain spot. In
The
terms
concern-
of like using
can I ask
the,
for
oh, go
clarification?
ahead.
Can I ask for clarification on that? Is the concern
Yeah.
that water would run over where the dirt is currently exposed? Or is the concern something else? Because the water runs completely different ways. There's uh, the water runs this way to the left here, which is, if you look at our if you're ever curious, there was a large discussion with the previous commission head around if the middle of our yard was wetland because it tested yet positive, but there's a, however many foot disconnect between the actual wetlands and the middle of the yard. So it's not, and that's because the water runs from this corner of the property this way. And then we have a stream here on the right hand side. So water doesn't really run anywhere here unless it gets hit by rain. So I guess my thought is if we disrupt the soil here, I don't think it's really going to cause any impact to the wetland. And I'm happy to have you back out to discuss it further.
Yeah, I mean, I think the key word there is if it gets hit by rain,
And
then like I
it's
could see
raining.
if it's
It's raining
puddling or
heavily.
anything like that. I think we should, um, typically we require this for any pretty much any project. If there's any question of whether it could um, cause sedimentation into the wetlands, even just like within the buffer zone, if it spreads around. We don't want that soil eroding from where it is now and getting elsewhere. In terms of removing the vines with the machinery, I've looked into the removal of invasive vines. I know bittersweet, it can kill a tree, and it's really important to cut that down. But that said, I think a standard practice is to cut all the vines, like going in a circle around the tree. Um, you don't technically have to remove them and pull them out, and sometimes that can actually damage the tree when you try and like pull on the branches to get the vines out. So it can actually, even if it's a little unsightly in the short term, it can be better for the tree if you just let the upper vines die off and disintegrate. Um, they shouldn't be able to regrow if they're no longer connected to roots. So if you've cut like in a circle around the tree, getting all of the connections to the ground, then they no longer will be able to survive, and they'll stop constricting the tree because they're not growing anymore, and they'll start decomposing. And then you can also pull the roots out of the ground, of the vines that you've cut so that they don't grow back. Um, but I did consult with DEP on this. I was kind of um, trying to get a sense of like what should we do in this situation, like how should we remove the invasive species, what's like the limits of what we should do. And the opinion that I heard back is that it really should be done um, with hand tools, like using a wrench to pull out the roots, um, cutting out the vines and things like that. Um, Especially because there are some there are some good plants in there. We don't want to pull out everything, and then we also don't want to disturb the soil, in the buffer zone. I'm sure if this was not in the buffer zone, if this was completely in uplands, using the machines to remove the invasives would be completely acceptable. But I think in this sensitive area, it would be best to remove them using hand tools, even though that takes longer. It would be a more like precise
It's a
and
cost
careful
thing at that
approach.
point of the problem, though, right? Like I spoke with a landscaping company to get a rough estimate, and they basically said it would be somewhere around 4 days with 4 guys working full time on this project, and it would cost me over $8,000 to do this. Um, that's a little out of the budget for this project. And just to clarify one thing that I didn't get a chance to rebuttal on yet is that we are not reclaiming any lawn with this project. We are not planting any additional seed. We are not hoping that any more lawn comes up. The existing lawn is being encroached on, but I'm not even pushing that stuff back far. Like we were just trying to remove what we can to get to the vines. So just to clarify that one point. So
And I had a question in that regard. Don't we have some satellite pictures that could show, say, 10 years back to see what the lawn looked like then?
probably we could probably find something.
Yeah, Jackie, that was one thing that we used to always do with Heidi was she would do I can't think of the name of it, but she would
I
do
don't either, but she'd pull up the past so we could see, well, was it really or was it part of the lawn?
yeah,
Yeah, that's true. I could pull up. Let me see if I can find that link. Um,
I don't think I have access to the one that's super precise like that one.
yeah,
Well,
I don't
that
think
was
I have the super precise one on my laptop, but I
that
can send it. I can send the link to Andrew if you want to.
that was
Yeah, I can
very
try.
helpful.
I've been here for 4 years now, and we haven't. The only lawn work we did was lawn reclamation for the pool project, which was approved by you guys.
Right.
We
I
have not
couldn't remember
expanded the
that.
lawn or anything like that. So
Yeah. So I guess
I'd like,
my oh sorry,
I'd
dogs.
just like to see what those pictures look like to see if it really is.
Yeah, I will attempt to bring that up.
I just sent
But
the link to
yeah,
the publicly available
yeah,
version.
I gotcha.
Not as
I will
clear, but
try and bring that up.
yeah, I guess it would
I
be good to check even if.
I drive by this.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I drive by this site fairly often. I live a street or two over. Oh, someone has it up.
yeah, I was able to pull it up quickly. So this is from 2009. So these are the trees that we removed as part of the last. These were the ones that were all dead and rotted out, unfortunately. So this is when the previous owners owned the house and the lawn. This is where we're discussing. So area one is right here on the corner of of the property. So we're not adding any additional lawn.
Okay. Okay.
I can go back further too if you guys would like
No,
to.
no, no, yeah, I'll let the other commissioners. I was just gonna say I drive by this site relatively often, and so in the past couple days, I'm not sure exactly when the work was exactly, but I did see some of the disturbance occurring, and I guess my concern. I mean, obviously, I want erosion control. I'm not saying that, but the limit of work goes into this brush, and so would the erosion controls just have to expand as the team worked, and that sort of like a, every couple hours they expand that out, or they say, all right, we're going to do another 5 feet in, let's move the hay bales out 5 feet, because it is relatively dense brush and that little sort of stream. So just in terms of the mechanics of that, and then in terms of the removal of the plants, you're going to have bare soil. Do you have any? I guess I know you're not going to necessarily plant grass back there, but do you have any plans on like what might be able to be reseeded there? Like, you might have heard on this. I'm not sure if we mentioned like upland mixes of things, and there's different native seed mixes that can, be reseeded in an area that, while you wouldn't necessarily be able to mow it, look a lot more tidy than
Sure.
the stuff there.
Yeah, honestly, I hadn't gotten that far along in the project. The initial thought was get the vines down, and
Fair
when
enough.
Jackie mentioned replanting, I said absolutely. I think that's a great idea. One thing that I love is seeing the birds in the yard. So I was like, can we do blueberries? Can we like, are there options? And I asked Jackie, if we're like what would you guys like to see replanted? And she said, if you're removing bushes, probably bushes, probably not trees. So, I would be on board with pretty much anything. I don't have a preference. Whatever makes you guys happy, to be honest.
Yeah. I just know. I mean, I think blueberry bushes are good. Are they native? Blueberry is native. Yeah. So that's great. But just in terms of like actually getting the base layer as well, um, I think it was Mike DeRosa showed sort of a list of stuff, and there are different grasses that are native grasses that you can plant back in, that keep things looking relatively tidy. Um, my other point, and I know I'm just listing stuff out, and I'll definitely let the other commissioners weigh in here too. In terms of the machinery use, Jackie, is there any world in which if they keep the machinery like on grass, they could still use that as a tool to like? I guess it doesn't necessarily help.
It wouldn't reach the trees, unfortunately.
Okay. Because I absolutely hear you that there's the cost portion of
And
this, and we, I think as a commission, are very pro removal of invasives, and so we don't want to be inhibitory to that. Um, but it's also like we don't want to do more disturbance than something that's technically stabilized by the plant. You know what I mean? So it is a tough scenario.
Yeah, in the
So
in the removal of the vines, that was told to me by a certified arborist. So I understand that, I'm not discrediting what Jackie was told, but I would wonder, if I could have an arborist out and tell me if I actually need to remove these vines or not. Like that is an option as well. I'm happy to do that.
Mm.
So
Jackie, is it possible that maybe this RDNI is a bit premature? Um,
I
you know,
mean, that's up to the commission. I mean, we could start with enforcement, but I did tell Jason that an RDNI is pretty much the only thing he could try for based on the time frame if he does want to like sort of get before the commission with a plan and try and like see what we think of it, but that it might not be approvable under an RDNI if we don't think it's a negligible impact. And if it does have to rise to a higher level permit, um, then the fee that you paid for the RDNI would be applied to the next permit. So it was no loss to try applying for it just to get the plan in front of us is sort of what I was thinking, but I I I had the impression that it may not be something we determined to be a negligible impact. That's sort of up to the commission's
Yeah.
discretion to determine.
either way, I've learned something tonight, so I'm fine.
Yeah, and I was thinking about Andrew's point with the cost. I sort of suspect that there's a reason we don't often see permit applications just for removal of invasive species because it is costly and time consuming. And I also do worry that if it's not done, um, in the most like advanced expert way, like the invasives may come back, and oftentimes disrupting the soil is what can cause more invasives to come in. Um, so I want to be cautious that we don't. Um, I know there are many situations where people go in trying to remove invasives, and it doesn't always work out if you aren't very careful about how it's done. They can be very challenging to remove, unfortunately. And then even if you do replant, the invasives may need, there may still be a seed bank of them in the soil that you need to constantly keep going after it. And then it's not like a sustainable strategy if we have to keep um, cutting down all of the good and bad plants to try and remove the invasives and replant over and over. So it's it can be more complicated than you might imagine. Although sometimes it works out well, but um, I've I don't know. It's possible to accidentally
Yeah.
make it worse. So
Right.
tough.
I'm just recalling that we had and Jods might remember this. We had a gentleman that did invasive removal, Japanese knotwood, down by the Dunkin' Donuts on Route
Yeah, yeah,
1.
yeah. I know Arthur or something like that.
Yeah, on a municipal lot. I think it was a
Yeah.
municipal owned lot, and I think he may have had other volunteers involved, but it was all by hand, and it was
It was,
laborious, and you
but
know,
Jen,
yeah.
I have to tell you, he paid off some of his town taxes by doing that.
Okay, fair
He
enough.
was
Fair enough.
volunteer. Yeah.
As a senior, and maybe that I don't know that
Yeah.
that's relevant. I mean, it's interesting, but
I don't know in terms of cost.
yeah, I think he was a senior that was doing, community service, but
Yeah,
it was all
exactly.
by hand. It was all by hand. It was all very, we had really put controls in place to manage it. We went down, we did site visits.
Yep.
He was very, the removal of the invasives was, strictly managed. He couldn't just dump it, he couldn't just bury it. So, I mean, at this point, I think we need to know exactly. I mean, looking at this plan, it's hard to define the the area of disturbance. I mean, normally we say, "Hey, provide a restoration plan when you're," maybe it's just minimal disturbance, I guess, but it's a future plan. Um, so it's just one of those things. There's not a lot of data. I mean, this is a nice plan, but it's a plan that was prepared in connection with something else entirely and not to make this more onerous. So, in order to not make it more onerous, you just, you deal with an area at a time and you remove it by manual means. Um, I don't know. If DEP is saying you got to do it manually, then it seems like it would be really difficult for us to go around that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can't be less restrictive than DEP, unfortunately. If that's what their recommendation is, then we do have to go with that recommendation.
Because it's already doing something in an area that you're not supposed to do anything, so then you gotta.
That's if you can find those photos.
Agreed. I think longer term though, we need to consider how invasive management plans can come before us, and things like this can come before us in a more streamlined way, because this, I mean, fundamentally this is a good thing.
Oh, very.
Yeah, I
So
know there's like the ecological restoration notice of intent, which I think is like a more abbreviated permit for invasive removal, but it's still a very onerous process to go through. And I think people are working on updates to the regulations to sort of streamline like invasive removal and restoration projects, make it easier to apply for them and get permission for them. Um,
Another one comes to mind. Johns, maybe you may remember this. But it was a homeowner. They were literally, it was a strip along their driveway that they were, trying. Oh, gosh, I wish I remember where it was, but it was
Oh,
again Do you remember that? Like, it was a
This
little.
was, I think I might have been on for that as well. They
And they were
like blocked their view of the road so their kids couldn't stand on the
Right.
road safely or something. Am I totally
I
missing
think
that?
it was a lot of cosmetic stuff. They wanted to get rid of, the invasives because they had like planted a I don't know if it was like arborvitaes, but they had like some sort of planting border that ran along their driveway and they were trying to clean up. I think what they did was they had planted in that area and then to try to fix it, they were going to get rid of the invasives. And again, it was like another situation. It's like very small, relatively small area, but it was really strictly circumscribed in this situation. So I just don't know. I mean, this is
Um, what if you were to get hold of someone like like someone like Mike DeRosa, that type person, a wetland scientist, and ask him what he thought of it?
Right. I just don't want more costs on the homeowner. You know?
No, that's what I'm trying to, yeah.
And I'm not sure we'll be able to deal with it exactly in this, obviously in this meeting, but I think long
Sure.
term we as a commission need to put some thought into how we handle this type of thing, because hopefully if we can make it less onerous, more people can do this type of work, because I feel very strongly that this type of work is net positive and should be encouraged in as many ways as possible.
Oh, I do too.
can you remind me what the time frame for the proposed work would be?
There's no time frame. I started the work. Jackie said this needed to be permitted, so here I am.
But in
um,
terms of like these areas, I mean, if like, what's your vision in terms of, do you have a vision in terms of the time frame for completing it?
I just wanted to save the trees. Like I know that sounds, kind of funny, but that was my goal. Take care of the vine.
Oh,
Start with
not
that.
to us.
So, yeah, I want these trees to live. I've taken down enough trees in my yard, and that already bothered me. So I wanted to save these trees, and to do so, I thought I was going down the right path, and you know, I stopped as soon as I heard I wasn't. So um, there's no time frame. I'm not trying to get more lawn. I don't have an ongoing project that's dependent on this or anything like that.
Yeah, and I appreciate you clarifying that about the lawn. Sometimes it's just the way, it's just the semantics of, what you're trying to accomplish. So we just want to confirm that so that we're not setting up any unreasonable expectations. Um, so I appreciate that. I just don't know.
If I can say one thing too, like, you mentioned maybe having to engage like a wetland scientist or something like that, but like as a homeowner, if I'm being required to file a permit with the commission, like I would expect the commission to give me instructions on how to do this properly. And maybe that instruction is hire a wetland scientist, but like at this point we don't have that in place. So
Yeah.
like I'm just trying to do the right thing here, and maybe I'll be the example and help you guys set the new standard, and I'm happy to do so. But at the same time, I'm not going to spend $10,000 on a project like this when I could just let it grow and never touch it. I just thought I was doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's what we
Yeah.
understand that. I think Dodds is, I think typically when somebody comes to us and they have, made a change, they've made a modification, and there's been a disturbance, that is part of it. There's a restoration plan. I mean, what's the square footage of the area that was disturbed? Do we know that?
It was two very large bushes. I mean, probably just over
Oh.
arm's length.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like, here's the deal. I mean, you kind of haven't triggered that kind of scenario where we have people that like take out, huge swaths of trees without approval, and they've, really modified things. And so, yeah, part of it is come back to us with a restoration plan, um, and put things back the way they were. And that typically requires a wetland scientist. Here you are where you've caused a disturbance. It's, I don't want to say minimal, but it's not, doesn't rise to the level of those other situations. But at the same time, you're filing an RDNI with us. And so now we sort of like have to evaluate this RDNI, but we don't have a ton of information. And the RDNI is totally minimal. It doesn't really provide us with a heck of a lot. I'm looking at it right now, and it's literally like one line and then the old plan. And so I think part of it is a lack of, and we're having this discourse now for sure, but part of it is maybe having a more thorough narrative about what the plan is as part of the RDNI. I think it has to be a little bit more fleshed out. But I think also where Jackie got, I think we do have parameters in place that we're not supposed to do this work with machines. So now it's like, Jackie, I don't know how we get around that, and I'm not suggesting that we do. So it just may not fit into this box at this point. Maybe
Right.
notice.
Yeah, I think my advice would be um to focus on um the vines on the trees, because I think that's currently like the most, it appears to be the most destructive invasive right now. And if I were you, um I would give us a plan to just go in and cut them with like a chainsaw, just cut the vines, and then the top of them will die out, and then you may have to keep going back and cutting them every so often, but at least that'll take away years of vine growth, um and prevent it from getting even bigger and strangling the trees more. And I think I'd be comfortable as long as I like go out on site with with anyone who wants to like remove invasives by hand, and I go over with them and make sure that they're able to identify the invasive species that they're removing. I think I'd feel comfortable approving a homeowner to do like smaller scale removal of invasives by hand, as long as I go over with them and make sure that we're removing the right species and maybe check in every now and then. But I don't know if the commission has other opinions on that, but it's definitely something for us to think about, for future projects.
Yeah. I So I guess at this point, what are we comfortable approving a portion of this work, some amount of it using hand tools, something, you know, whether or not the homeowner ends up following through with this is up to the homeowner. But are we comfortable approving it, or are we denying it, saying that we need more information?
I guess, Jason, a question for you would be, would you rather that the commission, not that we have to do what you say, but would you rather that the commission approve portions of this to be done by hand, or that we deny it and then allow you to apply your application fee to like a future permit that's more
Well, so
like something like a notice of intent that's more fleshed out? But
So I'm honestly, I'm not worried about the application fee at this point. Like I just want to know what I can and can't do. So if you tell me right now that I can cut the vines and I can take those two dead limbs over and I can trim back the stuff that is leaning out over because it's so dense that all this buckthorn and everything, they're leaning out to try to get sunlight. If I can trim those back and you tell me that I can do that all by hand, then I'll move on right now. I'll get that work done when I can. And obviously we've already stopped the machine work, so that won't continue. And then if I find that this is becoming a bigger problem, then yes, I will engage you with, I'll reach out to you, Jackie. You can tell me, put in, I forget what the other form is called. And I'm not worried about the fee. I just want to know what I can do now and can't do now, because once I learned that I was not doing the right thing, I stopped. So
Right.
yeah, that's where I'm at. Like, I just want to, I'm not trying to break the rules. I'm sure this stuff goes under the radar all the time. And that wasn't what I was trying to do at all. I mean, he's at the road doing the work, So I thought we were doing the right thing.
This is definitely a learning curve for everybody, and we
Yeah.
appreciate that you've been here before. That's, believe me, that doesn't go unnoticed for your other project. Excuse me. So, the RDNI though, I guess, it's tough because it doesn't link. I mean, we're having this discussion. So again, let me just read it. It says, see attached removal of invasive flora and vines to save trees, and encroach on lawn. And then it has the plan, and the plan, I'm assuming, let me see here. The plan shows, the 6 areas. Is it 6 total? Yeah.
Yeah, I can pull this up as
Um,
well again, if this helps. But in the top right here, I do mention what the goal for each area was. And like I mentioned, the only thing that wasn't included, and I just missed it, was the two overhanging tree limbs on area 6.
So when we do, if we were to issue a determination of negligible impact, Jackie, we could condition that, as you noted on our meeting notes, we're concerning sedimentation and hand removal. What about disposal of the invasives once things are cut away?
That's a good point. We should condition it to sort of, I don't know how to phrase it, but to properly dispose of all invasive material. We certainly don't want to be spreading invasive seeds. Um, with knotweed specifically, if there's any of that, you don't want to spread any of that because it can regrow from like anything. So that you just want to throw in the trash and get rid of.
And then the trees, you said you just let the top go.
Yeah, the
Vines.
the vines and the trees, it's best to cut them before they have the berries. I think that's in the fall. Um, if it's the bittersweet vines, and then to just let them die off. Um, but if you do cut any out that are removable that have berries on them, then you want to bag those and throw them away. But if they don't have berries, they don't have seeds yet, and they won't spread. So those can just be like sort of composted. So it sort of depends on the plant, and knotweed is the main one that like you really have to just throw everything away.
Whenever I've pulled it, it goes right in the trash. So,
Yeah.
and I always make sure to get the roots. I know it's not perfect, but it's the best that we can do.
Yeah.
So Jackie, though, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm just looking at the key that's on the plan. And so, like, for instance, it says area 1, removal of multiflora, which will allow for vine removal of existing trees. So this is basically, if am I reading this correctly, that you may be removing non-invasive things to get to the invasives.
That might be a shorthand of multiflora rose.
Yeah, so that's
Oh,
an
okay.
invasive species.
All right, so I just want to make sure, so you're feeling it's a specific species that's being removed that's also invasive to get to other invasives.
Correct. And if it wasn't, I mentioned like of existing flora because that would be removed, like area 2 pushback of existing flora. That would be there was existing flora that is not invasive with invasive mixed in.
Okay. So I guess that's I don't know, maybe that's an issue.
Yeah, I think for
Secondly,
area 2, I was concerned that there are natives mixed in, and I'd rather we
And
not
Rod, you
all of
mentioned
it.
like that.
I know this is a very important subject, but we've been on it about 30 minutes and we have other people still to come tonight.
I apologize to anyone that is delayed of this.
No. I'm just reminding people that, we need to move it up a little bit.
well, I guess Jackie, the thing is, it seems to me like there has to be some pre-activity meeting on site to specifically identify these invasives for the, not uninitiated on this. If there's no wetland scientist or arborist involved, so that nothing that is not invasive gets removed or very minimal.
Well,
I
wouldn't
agree.
that be just the case where he's already dug it up? That wouldn't count. And if the other stuff is by hand, I can't imagine he'd be incorrect by doing vines.
No, I mean the vines you cut them with a
Yeah.
machete or an axe.
Yeah, no, like my concern is removing things that are not invasive. That was my concern. And so does he understand what's invasive, what's not invasive, since there isn't a wetland scientist or an arborist or some other expert involved? And so maybe that can be mitigated by having, not to volunteer Jackie, but to have Jackie go on site before activity.
Yeah, I
Before
guess we could condition it that it needs to be removed by someone able to identify invasive plants, and that I would do a pre-activity meeting to confirm that. And so
That-
that would sort of leave it open to if I do the pre-activity meeting and I'm like, please show me the invasive plants, and then
Exactly.
the person is not able to identify, I can say, well, you need somebody else to come in who knows how to do this.
Right. And the intention of removing these plants is to make access to the vines, at least for right now. Like that's
was
the
the
goal.
goal.
is I don't want to say only what is like the bare minimum that you need to remove, because I mean I want you to remove invasives, but I think right now, while we're still in some ways figuring out how this is all going to work, like basically doing the absolute bare minimum removal of stuff, even if it's an obvious thing of like knotweed, if it's not, like, are we just want to work on the vines right now, like as the highest priority thing? I don't know if that makes any sense. So
Can I ask a question? Can we reword this and just say, yes, you can cut the vines by hand. Don't remove anything, because I'm just gonna literally throw on waders and walk out just so I don't get ticks on me, and I'm just gonna go cut those vines. And then we'll worry about the rest later, because like I mentioned, I was told we had to pull the vines down to save the trees. If we don't actually have to do that, I'm just gonna go out and cut the vines and we're gonna move on.
Yes.
As for removing the rest of the invasive stuff, I will tackle that at another point once the commission has a defined process, whether that's going through a wetland scientist, working with someone that can identify it, et cetera. I'm happy to do that.
That's a great resolution. Easy peasy. You're just literally, we're gonna revise this to cut the invasive vines only.
Okay.
Like-
and there were those two
and
dead
those
limbs.
the 2 limbs that aren't doing really hot, it's less than 10%. Am I good to do that?
That is exempt under Wetlands Protection Act, so I don't see why not.
Okay, perfect.
Good.
All right. Sorry for the long discussion for everyone else. That
No,
was
no, we
feel
got to
bad.
resolve quickly. Once I mention it, got to move on.
No, and I think this is a really important thing for us to consider long term. I almost want us to have another, not a special meeting necessarily, but some sort of like, I don't know when the tree policy, how that was all hashed out, but I do think this is of a similar level of importance. Of we need to make this as easy as possible and as straightforward as possible for people to make this happen more.
Well, I'm happy to help. If you guys want to come to the property and walk it with me and come up with, brainstorm ideas, I am all for it. So.
Oh. Okay,
Thank you.
so.
I don't know if Jen, you want to handle these?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we just have to, there just has to be an understanding that we're now modifying what was, it's not going to be as broad sweeping as what was initially, I guess, discussed. Because I think that the RDNI is fairly broad, as I mentioned. So my motion will it's going to scale it back quite a bit. And this does not go to the enforcement order. It sounds like we need to get to that separately. Sorry. So it is a little bit of a long process, but I'll do my best here. I will make a motion that we issue a determination of negligible impact for RDNI 2025-18 for 83 Wenham Road, map 71, lot 2. With with respect only to the hand removal of invasive vines in the areas depicted on the plan attached to the RDNI, subject to the usual and special conditions, including the requirement for sedimentation controls to be installed and a pre-activity meeting scheduled with the conservation agent, so that's Jackie, to inspect the sedimentation controls and discuss the plan prior to starting work. Again, all invasive species removal will be by hand tool only, and by someone qualified to identify the invasive plants, and with the expectation that the area impacted will be seeded with native plants in any bare soil following removal of invasives. But again, I think I need to modify that because we're only talking about cutting back vines.
Right.
So Maureen's like, yeah, we went too far. I know,
Okay.
Maureen, that's what you're saying. So let me just modify that motion to remove the reference to um I guess the seeding and the removal of plants, because that's not what is happening under this RDNI. It is limited to cutting. So sorry, Chris, for a poorly worded motion. That's my motion.
And also consider whether the sedimentation controls are required if they're just
Right, I
cutting.
think that would only be for the enforcement. We can take it out of this if it's just
Okay.
cutting vines.
So let's modify that further, that I will remove the sedimentation controls from my motion because we're only talking about cutting vines.
I will second that doubly revised motion.
Thanks.
And how do we vote? Dodge Shamrock, aye.
Jen DeCarlo, I.
Andrew Mulholland, aye.
Maureen Bresnahan, aye.
And what about the enforcement one? Can we, do we not need that?
That sounds
Well,
like a
the
big
areas
deal.
that are bare soil need to be fixed. And currently there, we have no language that requires any change to the bare soil. And I'm not saying, and this is in no way to the homeowner saying that you wouldn't deal with it. This is
I understand.
This is
Future homeowners.
99.999% administrative. So
So,
I think, sorry, Dodds.
no, I agree with you.
I think from a purely administrative point, we condition.
We're done?
No, I think we do issue the enforcement order.
Yeah.
With the basically the you know, stabilize it,
Yeah.
reseed it with something.
Yeah.
I think we should have handled the enforcement order first, personally, but we didn't. So,
Well,
I
this
mean,
is a
what's that?
little kind of the cart.
Yeah, that's fine. The reality is we have that area of disturbance that I don't even think the RDNI really touches on that
No.
necessarily. So I think it's really just there's a motion to issue an enforcement order in connection with the disturbance that occurred.
Right.
And then we know that there's an RDNI for any additional work. The two components are gonna maybe overlap to some degree, probably not, but the area just has to get stabilized. Is that fair to say?
Can I
Yeah,
request that again email with like what I can plant, like seed wise, or can I just request that and I'll do whatever you guys need me to do?
Oh, sure. You could talk right to Jackie. She'll give you a list of the stuff that's appropriate for sure.
Good.
So do we need to have any other discussion on the enforcement order? Because I can just make a motion.
Not for me.
not for me. I think the
All right.
sedimentation controls and the reseeding are the
Yeah.
I think it goes without saying that this doesn't require any sort of environmental engineer, anything like that.
Yeah,
Like it's much too small.
Agreed.
So,
And there's no piles, right? There's no piles of debris that was left behind, anything like that. Like I'm talking about like the invasives. They're not sitting in a pile. He's just been
No,
throwing them away.
they were hauled away to a place that takes brush.
Okay, definitely be careful about that because you don't want to be like they're gonna turn it into, soil and then it's gonna be full of invasives. So it just really, if you have any question about that, definitely check in with Jackie. But all right, I'll make a motion that we issue enforcement order for 83 Wenham Road that requires the homeowner to stabilize the site with erosion controls and sedimentation controls at the limit of disturbance, either with a silt fence or staked silt sock as soon as possible, and that no further work be done except in accordance with any permits issued by the Conservation Commission. Obviously, we just talked about the RDNI. And the disturbed areas be seeded with native plant species by the end of the growing season with the conservation agent, that's Jackie, to be contacted by the owner by October 31st for a follow-up visit. That is my motion.
I'll second that motion.
And how do we vote? Dr. Shamrock, aye.
Jen DeCarlo, aye.
Andrew Mulholland, aye.
Maureen Bresnahan, aye.
Thank you very much for all your time and patience and everything, explaining all these things and making us see more what we need to do.
No problem at all. Thank you guys for your time as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Folks, I have to walk around for a minute. We've been sitting almost, well, I was here 10 minutes ahead, so 2.5 hours. So I can't make a motion, but will someone make a motion for 5 minutes?
Sure, I can put forward a motion that we pause the meeting for 5 minutes to be resumed at 9:25.
I second the motion.
Great. Okay. How do we vote? I can't vote. How do we vote? Okay.
Jen
Can I
DeCarlo, yeah, I think you can vote on that.
All right.
Yeah.
I vote yes. Aye.
Jen DeCarlo, aye.
Andrew Mulholland, aye.
Maureen Bresnahan, aye.
Great. See you in 5.
I can put forward a motion to reopen the meeting at 9:27.
Can I second that?
I will second that.
Oh.
This is Jen.
All right. How do we vote? Come on,
Andrew
folks,
Mulholland,
how do we vote?
Andrew Mulholland, aye.
Jen DeCarlo, aye.
Maureen Bresnahan, aye.
And Dodd Shamrock, aye. Okay, we don't have,
We have a quorum. Oh, no,
Yeah,
we're
but-
all here. Yeah, we're all
Yeah,
here.
we're all here.
yeah, we're all here. Okay. Well, I want to say Heidi, is Jackie here too?
Jackie.
Yes, I'm
Jackie.
here.
Okay. What I
Okay.
want to know is, do you want to possibly table the meeting minutes?
I think
till
that makes
next-
sense.
Okay. Do we need to vote on it or just we'll do it?
I think we can just table it.
All right. We're back again, folks, and we have an enforcement meeting. Ugh, excuse me, it's getting late. An enforcement on 30 Canterbury Hill Road. Dick Jonas, representative, will be present alongside with resident Florian Oakley, hopefully. I'm sorry if I've wrecked it. The residents had previously submitted plans for a retaining wall just outside the buffer zone. And could someone tell us about that?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
fine.
Hello, my name is Alec Chongers with Chongers Engineering. I'll be helping out the applicant, Florian, who is also on this meeting to answer any additional questions. Am I able to share my screen? I can give you guys some summaries of
Sure,
the project.
that'd be great.
Alrighty, so can you see my screen?
Yes.
So again, this is Alec Chongs at Chongers Engineering. So I was originally involved in this project probably almost a year, 2 years, or a year and a half ago now for a septic system replacement. It was a BSF filter that we put on the site, and then my involvement stopped there. The homeowner he has a very steep lot, and as you can tell by those steep contours, let me show the existing. This is the existing lot. Very steep contours pitching down towards the woods. There is a resource area of a 100-foot buffer, about 40-ish feet away from the edge of house. His goal was to increase his backyard's usability for his kids. He has was very steep, so he wanted to make it somewhat more flat. So he proposed putting in a retaining wall, about 2 retaining walls, 4 to 5-ish feet tall, stepping it up to kind of tackle the slope. In doing so, his intent was to keep it at the 100-foot buffer, but what happened was this is also a planning board project now, because under your regulations in Topsfield, if you disturb a certain amount of square footage on a certain type of slope, you are required to follow essentially the Mass Stormwater Bylaw is what they adopted. So that's when I got re-involved into the project. So we got re-involved in the project and we had it surveyed. And this is where we're showing the new wall that was proposed. So in doing my analysis for the stormwater mitigation, you tackle the increase in to follow the regulations in Topsfield. We found that the wall that's already been built sneaks into the buffer zone a little bit. I'm going to zoom in a little bit for you guys here. So as you can see, the retaining wall is right around here going straight. And it's about 830-ish square feet, plus or minus, that is within the buffer zone. And the existing area, so I didn't perform the existing survey, but you can show you the edge of lawn is what the surveyor called the edge of lawn. Whether it was trees or vegetated, it's kind of difficult to tell. I have some images. This is back in 24. And this is a green image in 24 as well, August. And then this is showing the conditions now. I'm gonna go back to the plan, and then the homeowner's here to answer any other questions, because I said I wasn't involved in the project until a few months ago when he got told to prepare a stormwater submittal for the planning board, and now we're here.
Yeah, I guess I'll note that I've found out about this because of the stormwater submittal to planning board, which I normally take a look at those, and it's clearly in the buffer zone. So I sent a violation notice asking the applicant to cease and desist from further activity, although it seems like the activity is pretty much complete, and then also attend this meeting to discuss the next steps with us. Um, and just thinking about what we would have allowed here in terms of like whether they could file an after the fact permit or whether they need to remove it completely. Um, we can issue an enforcement order asking for it to either be removed or permits secured for it. But considering our regulations under our local bylaw, the criteria for allowable buffer zone alteration, um, this project would not meet our criteria because the work was not within existing lawn. And in that case, the only way for this type of project to be approved is if all 4 members of the commission, it specifically says 4 commissioners, would need to agree that it can qualify for a waiver under our waiver protocols to be approved. So
Sorry,
that's,
Jackie. I'm
yeah,
just,
go ahead.
I'm slightly lost here.
That's
What
lost.
actually is the violation? And like,
Oh, so the violation is that a retaining wall was built within the buffer zone.
okay.
This
So
section right here.
I think
And
Alex,
you might have
had
mentioned
said-
that. I think I just might have missed it if you did.
Yeah,
So
so I
I
think what
appreciate the
Alec
clarity.
was trying to say was that the intention was for the retaining wall to be completely outside the buffer, but then when he went back to have it surveyed, it was shown to be within the buffer. So now it's become an enforcement case.
So, Jackie, when they came to us originally with their plans, what relief did they get relief from us for anything?
I don't know if they had to come to Conservation Commission because it was outside the buffer at the time.
Yeah, for the
Well-
septic it was actually funky. This project kind of has a lot of history too. So there was an original plan designed by a different engineering firm, and then I think that was gonna have to go in front of you guys, but then we went with a different system that was beyond the 100-foot buffer. So you guys did not see the septic, and you didn't see me with the septic system.
Yeah, so I imagine Heidi would have seen this when it went through, if it went through the building permit process or anything like that. She would have been able to just review it and say yes or no, does this require a conservation permit? And if it did not, because it was outside the buffer, then she probably would have just decided not to take action in terms of requiring a permit for it, which makes sense if it's outside the buffer. But then, I mean, maybe she would have required erosion controls at the limit of work or something like that. But I'm not sure.
Yeah, the original septic plan did not show any was strictly just for the septic, no proposed alterations or work behind the house. It was strictly just for the septic system.
So it
Oh,
just like
okay.
went through town hall and she looked at it, was like, okay, yeah, this is all outside a buffer, so it doesn't need to come to conscom.
Yeah,
Correct.
so maybe the retaining wall wasn't even.
Correct. My
Maybe
original
that's
septic
that.
plan didn't show any retaining walls. That was an after the fact with the homeowner. After we got the sign off from Board of Health, the retaining wall got built, and then I got involved back in after because of planning board.
Excuse me, and not all of the wall is in the buffer, right? I'm looking at the plan. It looks like
Correct.
the blue line is the buffer. So a good chunk of it is, most of it, except when you get to that left side.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, do we have any photos to give us a sense of what happened here? Is there any
I don't have anything like this. My schedule kind of got rushed, so I didn't have to go on the site and get some more detailed photos. Florian, do you have any photos you would be able to share?
I do have photos, but hello, my name is Florian, homeowner of 30 Canterbury Hill Road. And I don't have any photos at the moment to share with you right away. But this is basically what we're looking at is what we have at the moment, what it stands.
Okay.
There's a shed behind there, which I did not touch. And before the shed, I built, the wall was built.
Do you know what the height of the retaining wall is, or
Yep.
does it
Right
vary?
now it's 6 feet.
120, so it varies around 117 here, so 3 foot. Then it gets a little bit shallower here, so I think the max height is around 6 feet, but he can confirm that.
Yes.
So you mentioned it's a planning board issue now. Is it currently before the planning board?
Yes, exactly. So the reason why you guys are here, we're in front of you now, is because we just submitted for the planning board because he was supposed to file permits with the planning board since it's X amount of per square footage of disturbance at a certain percent slope. He required to, essentially follow the mass stormwater bylaw, which is showing this big call-tex system that we're proposing now. And then since we had to do this submittal, I had to get this resurveyed. And then as we showed the resurvey, the wall was within your buffer zone, and that's why we're in front of you guys now as well.
I'm sorry, is it site plan approval or is it, what's the permitting in the?
You guys have a stormwater permit application. It's just like if you disturb over 4,000 square feet of area, you are required to file a stormwater permit with the planning board. And because this is this house is existing, it's not a new house. The house is just being rehabbed. But you guys, your local bylaws require, I think it's 4,000 square feet at the top of my head, and then you have to go in front of the planning board for a stormwater permit application.
So it's after the fact with them as well, obviously.
Correct. Correct.
And then, I mean, what is the outcome? Is it so just a decision that comes from them that says yay or nay on the
Yes,
application? Okay.
essentially, yeah. I mean, I know Jerry's not here anymore. He used to review them in house, but they sent him to a different engineer now. And as long as the stormwater meets their regulations, is that they I forget the lady's name, the planning board lady at your town.
He does.
She said, yeah, she says you typically, as soon as the engineer says yay, it follows your regulations. The planning board typically votes yay according to her, but we haven't been in front of them yet.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I imagine the planning board may want to see what Conservation Commission decides.
I think we want to
before
see
they-
what they're going to decide.
It's not play that game,
Yeah.
right?
So we might have to sort
So-
of run these hearings, like waiting for each other's feedback before we both rule on it. But right now we don't have an application before us. We just have an enforcement case.
So what is the applicant's professional's opinion of what relief would be necessary from us? Because right now there's this enforcement, or I guess we're evaluating the motion to issue the enforcement order. But what is I mean, do you have an opinion of what relief would be necessary from us for this wall to maybe have been permitted in the first instance?
Yeah, so sorry. That's we we obviously would like to see the wall. If we can go file an after the fact NOI and get a waiver to allow us to keep the wall it is, would obviously be what we hope to do. We understand that we do have some disturbance, and if we have to mitigate with some maybe tree plantings, maybe we can do a site walk to see if and how many trees were actually removed. Unfortunately, we have the near map photos. I don't have that number because I wasn't involved in this portion of the project, so I don't have all those details, but maybe we can look at some pictures. But our goal would be to be able to file an after the fact and keep the wall where it's located as it is already built. And just because his purpose is he wants to be able to use his yard, and obviously it'd be kind of a goofy wall for him to follow the curve, which obviously if he did, we wouldn't be in the first place, but it is where it is now, and we'd hope to keep it as it is. But we're kind
And
of
what is the what on what grounds would a waiver be appropriate for this wall?
that's like why we're kind of here to ask now. So we understand that it's not it's you guys under your jurisdiction. We weren't able to put it, and the homeowner just wasn't aware. And I think he can speak on to the contractor that was doing it, because it was my understanding that the surveyor did stake out the buffer for him to follow and put the wall into place. But as we did the survey, because he got in trouble with the planning board, we found out it wasn't. So my question to you guys would be, what would you guys like to see if you guys don't think he'll grant this waiver? You're going to want to see us push it back, and if additional mitigation too, or what would be appropriate?
What's on top of the surface there, the flat? Sorry for all my questions,
No,
guys.
it's
I'm just like,
Got
what's
questions too.
sorry. Like, what's on? So, is this what it looks like now, or is there
This
ground?
is like a couple of months ago, April 14th, 2025.
Okay. I mean, it's funny because the wall's not even. It's not even parallel with the house. It runs at an angle.
Yeah, that's
Like they didn't put it in straight. At least with respect to the house. So that's just kind of just an observation.
Yeah,
Broken level.
I think the buffer zone runs at an angle too, so I can see that maybe an attempt was made to keep it out of the buffer zone, but it just was off by 10 feet.
Well, I mean, so that's a good point, Jackie, because if there was an
Quick question,
attempt
Jen.
made. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
When was the buffer zone last the wetlands last delineated, or are we talking about riverfront here?
This was delineated, and we get the time. We had one engineer, and then it was reviewed again by Goddard Consulting last year. But let me double
Okay, so
check.
it's very recent. I guess my question here is that we're discussing matters of what, 3 or 4 feet here?
And it's very steep too. It's not like it's a linear. It's linear when it's obviously a big slope. So if you're gonna pull a tape measure, it'd be a lot more. But we're not doing that with the offsets. But yes,
Yep.
it is probably about 10-ish feet. If
Okay.
I can get you that exact number after. But
No, that's fine. I guess my question there was like, what level of uncertainty are we dealing with? If if this was a 5-10-year-old delineation or
I guess
fairly recent delineation. Oh, sorry, Jackie, please.
I'm wondering if we even approved this delineation. We probably didn't if they didn't file for anything. So
let
right
me
now
pull
it might
that
just
up.
be an unapproved delineation, but I don't know.
Let me pull that plan up, and I can get you that file. We can look into that again because like the what I'm showing the plan right now is strictly this is just based on I wasn't intending that the buffer zone was going to be encroached like that for the planning board, and I just got the enforcement letter notified last week. So yeah, I don't have all my details with me on right now, unfortunately, but I can certainly get all those. I can look back at the file for you.
Yeah, I'm not aware of us having approved the wetland line, although I imagine with how steep the slope is, it probably can't be too far off from what this plan shows.
Understood. Yep. Yeah, that was just something that because I mean, it's already in place. Is the disturbance of removing it at this point going to be worse?
But we also shouldn't make a decision based on that because it
No.
creates a precedent of
That's
allowing
fair. Yep. Fair
encouraging
enough.
people to do things that would not be permissible and seek forgiveness rather than permission.
Nope. That is a very valid point. I appreciate that.
So, but let me just backtrack here. So this wasn't delineated. This line it wasn't recently delineated under
It
our
was
purview.
so bordering wetland line established by soils and reviewed by TCC agent. So we'll have to confirm this because this was the original plan that was before the BSF went in. And I believe Heidi did look at this. I don't want to quote me on that. I wasn't involved in this portion. This is a different company. So we can follow up on this later on this week or whatever to see if your office did review whatever.
Right.
I guess my point is that a delineation might resolve it. Like if it turns out the line's not exactly where I'm not suggesting the line, move the line or anything like that. It's just like where is the line, So maybe a delineation makes sense.
Understood.
Yeah. The site. Yeah. Right. In many ways, if it's currently seeded, I assume that this has been seeded to grass, backyard. So,
I'll
Jackie.
correct you there. It hasn't yet. Right now we're at a standstill at planning board. So, and Florian
Oh.
correct me. He's at a standstill because he has to get that stormwater permit approved.
Okay. So this is bare soil right now.
Florian, could you confirm
Yes,
that?
there's grass growing on. It is bare soil. I plan to put loam and a lawn all throughout around the house and
Okay.
in front of the house. So it's all going to be grass. I'm planning to move in to the house with my wife and 2 kids, and I wanted to have some of the backyard and for us to enjoy this new home.
I'm
Yep.
sorry to jump in. My name is Elda. I'm Florian's wife. One of the reasons why we wanted to make this safe for our kids is because of the slope. The slope, we have a 2-year-old, and the backyard was not at all like, I guess, an outdoor area for why we wanted to move to Topsfield in the first place. So really the only way to make this an area for them to be able to play outside was to flatten it out and be able to use as much of our land as we could without encroaching on reservation land.
Is there something keeping the kids from going over the wall though? I mean, is
There will be a fence put over. I'm gonna look into the law, how much of a height of a fence I can put up there. I believe it's a 5-foot fence that will be put on top of that wall, so I can, you know,
and keep in mind that you're in the buffer zone. So anything else that you do in the buffer zone, if you are in fact in the buffer zone, anything else you do, putting up a fence, I don't know if you were like listening earlier, but we had people come to us that were putting a fence in. So it's going to require coming to us if you are in the buffer zone.
Yeah.
That's very helpful for us because we definitely don't want to have any more hurdles with this project.
Yeah. So I guess right now, Jackie, what is necessary to, at a bare minimum, stabilize the site while we potentially wait for a redelineation and potentially wait for planning?
I guess I don't know because I haven't been out there yet. I've only seen the pictures. I mean, Alec, do you have a sense of whether like is the area of bare soil contained by the retaining wall, or is there further disturbance outside the retaining wall that needs to be stabilized? Like is there loose soil or any sort of
Yep. I don't want to say I haven't really been on site. We've been really backlogged, so I haven't been on site. But it looks like we can certainly see what's going on there. Based on the pictures, it does kind of look like it's retained at the retaining wall. It's not pushing into the buffer as much, and I'm sure it's probably got crabgrass growing now since it's been at standstill for a little bit. And but I can't speak. I haven't been on the sidewalk yet.
Can we even vote on an enforcement if nobody's been out there to actually see the site conditions?
I mean, we can issue an enforcement order, I think even just on the basis of a complaint, but I think we can see clearly on the plan and on the aerials that there's a problem.
Yeah. I think at a minimum, the enforcement order is we need to have Jackie go there. And and this is not to say that the homeowners wouldn't allow that anyway. I'm not, nothing intended there. But that's sort of the bare minimum first step. Hopefully, next couple days, Jackie can get out there and figure out what's happening, and then after that, it's immediate stabilization. And then, I mean, from there, I think before we make bigger quote unquote decisions, we need to have things redelineated and approved by Jackie. And then I'm not really sure the planning board situation. I don't know if we have to wait for that or what.
When's your guys' next meeting, by the way? Just so I can. Is it
September 10th.
September. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so we can include in the enforcement order, like the need to install erosion controls, sedimentation controls as required by the conservation agent, require a site visit, within the next week. We can require a wetland delineation to be done. I mean, if it's already done, we can just require for it to be reviewed again. And then we can require that, I think it's like a typical checkbox on the order to require that either a restoration plan be submitted or an after the fact notice of intent submitted. But I guess we can't really rule today for certain on whether we would approve an after the fact notice of intent, because that would need to be determined at that meeting.
Yeah, I don't think we have. Oh, sorry.
Oh, so I'm just to get myself clear. Would it be appropriate to essentially, because you guys can't make the decision. When can you make the decision on whether like we can go forward with the waiver, trying to get that? That has to be an after the fact NOI submitted, correct? That can't be done during like the enforcement order. Or am I misunderstanding that?
Right. I mean, I think
I think we have to file.
People can say their opinions all we want, but then like the Conservation Commission has the authority to change their opinion when we actually have the notice of intent before us with all the information.
I think my bare minimum right now is it has to be redelineated, or the delineation reviewed by Jackie and approved. Because I hope that this is outside the buffer zone. Like, that is the easiest
Yeah.
path forward here. I'm not saying that that is or is not the case, but I would feel a lot more comfortable making a decision if we have that info. And I don't know if it's even possible for us to get that info before the next meeting. Is that too fast to turn around for you, Jackie?
I think it would be possible. I mean, to do for me to review the wetland delineation, and that, but then I guess if we think it's outside the buffer zone, I don't think it will be, though, because this plan showed it within the buffer zone. But in the optimistic scenario that we find out that we think it's outside the buffer zone, then we could probably do like an RDA to confirm that it's okay after the fact.
Yep.
That would serve to approve the wetland line officially, and also approve the work by saying that it's exempt from permitting. But I think if it is within the buffer zone, which we think it is, it would definitely require a notice of intent if we're going to keep it, and then it's possible the commission could deny that if they refuse to grant a waiver. It's up to the commission's discretion if it meets
Yep.
the waiver criteria.
Yeah. I mean, you haven't even seen it in person.
Exactly.
So I think that I think we have some fact finding before really anything else can happen other than stabilization, and that requires you being on site very soon.
Yeah, I'm very confused about this. I mean, if the line, okay, the applicant could certainly say, yes, this is where we believe, we acknowledge that it's in the buffer zone unequivocally, right? They could just make that admission, and then we're proceeding accordingly. Or they might say, well, we're not sure, and so therefore we're going to do, a delineation, right? I don't see how you can go and confirm where the delineation is if there's no flags, right? I mean, are there flags on the
There
site?
should be flag. This because it was delineated back and not too long ago by TCC. I think it was 2024. So I'm sure there should be flags there.
But we don't know, like, yeah, I agree.
But-
There has to be some more fact finding uh, to figure out really where we're at. And this is fairly dramatic. I mean, it's a big wall put in. It's like, the grading has changed, and um it sounds like it might impact stormwater. So I think we want to do this right. It just seems like we need to be on site to see, like, is the soil completely contained inside of the wall, and not spilling out. And so, because what if this is not in the buffer zone and we're going to issue an enforcement order? It just seems odd to me. Maybe.
I mean, I sort of see, I see your point. I see the plan, though, as sort of an admission that it is within the buffer zone. I think unless the unlikely scenario that I go to review the wetland delineation and determine that it was like overly conservative in determining where the wetland is, but that that never really happens. Like, I would,
No, that's a good point.
yeah.
But let me ask you this, though. The lot, can we go back to that plan?
I still think you need to be on site.
I agree.
Yes, no, I would like to go on site and yeah.
So but this plan is taking another engineer's delineation, right? And putting it on this plan, which is it an as-built plan?
This is it's a half. It's a half as built, half proposed because
Okay.
it's after the fact.
Okay. And so are you standing so is this your plan? You signed
This is,
off the plan?
these are reference, like a wetland, because these are all referenced from the TCC plan that I'm doing. So these aren't my delineation. So if we have to, because we weren't, my intention that this was all going to be beyond the buffer and the wall was beyond it, then we found out that it wasn't. So if we have to go the fact and get it, and I want to confirm this, a part of me thinks that the TCC flags may have been confirmed when we were going to put the Presbyne on the Hayes plan. I think it was because that was an approved plan by the Board of Health, which leads me to believe I think you guys probably did. But again, we can confirm it. We can either, and if it's not, we can get it reflagged, and we can go back out there, resurvey everything with our crew, and
Yes.
have those located and meet on site and see what's going on, and then file accordingly, because
Okay.
there's a few unknowns.
Yeah, so there we go. There's where we have it. We can't rely on this, not and nothing to do with your engineering, but we
Yep.
have to look at this plan for what it is showing us and who is providing the data. And we have lines that are transferred from another plan, but you're not necessarily certifying those lines.
Correct.
So I think let's take a step back, right? I mean, it's just my suggestion. You don't have to, nobody has to follow it, but I don't think we really have any information right now. We have an as-built plan with respect to, I'd say, with respect to lot lines. Is that
For the
fair to say?
for the wall, yeah, for the wall that's sitting there.
Yeah, for the wall that's sitting here, we're looking at an as-built plan, but we're not looking at a delineation. Those lines came from somebody else's plan. We don't really know if they've been verified. It doesn't sound like they were verified by anybody in Conscom. So I don't think that we can really put a lot more stock in them. So I think the first step is just somebody needs to go out on site. I mean, Jackie, obviously, it's gonna be you to verify, you know, I don't know. I
Yeah.
guess take it in physically. You know, make sure there's not soil spilling over the wall. We think that it's probably in the buffer zone, so they're being cautious and coming to us. I mean, I don't know how this got flagged for us.
I think it's the stormwater
The planning board, yep.
or planning board. Yeah.
So
So
does
the-
this sound good?
Yeah.
Could we just to kind of speed things up? Can we go forward and just like we're gonna get everything flagged, get Jackie on site, meet on there, and just kind of? I think at the end of the day, we're going to file an after the fact NOI. Is that could we kind of go because our meeting for the planning board's on the September 3rd. So I'm assuming the planning board's probably going to give us this okay on then, and then your meetings after that, and try to get onto that meeting and then discuss the next steps once we have all the information that we got.
I think that makes the sense. I don't think it makes sense to issue a note and enforce. I mean, I don't know. Just the enforcement order is kind of weird right now. Go ahead. Sorry, Anthony.
I appreciate that, Jen. I would prefer to issue the enforcement order requiring Jackie go on site and that we condition that any required stabilization as determined by the conservation administrator be put in immediately. Because if something, I would, but then I guess, do we have jurisdiction or not? I guess
Yeah, that's the question, right? That's
no, I know. All right. I had
That's the
to talk
threshold
myself through
question.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we do have jurisdiction. I thought one of those plans said that it was reviewed by Heidi or something like that. So I don't think that the delineation was not reviewed in any sense. I'm just wondering whether it was officially confirmed as like for 3 years
At the same
in
time, this is
sense
the
that like
Mm-mm.
a permit would be.
I don't think so.
Sorry,
I
Jack.
mean, it sounds like that's a really easy, that would be super easy for the engineer to know. Like that's part of the file. Like it got verified, they came before us, we approved the line. It doesn't sound like that's what happened here.
Yeah, I thought there was a note that Heidi had reviewed it or the agent had reviewed it or something like that on one of those plans.
I get because I think so because Heidi was very excited when we went the BSF route because the BSF route was
Mhm.
completely no wall and I think we'll find out tomorrow whatever we can look in the file and see if it was ever approved because there was an approved plan for the Board of Health that never got put in.
But Heidi could look at something and go, yeah, you're way out of the jurisdiction, right? You know, and so, you know, you're fine. You know, looking at this, like, you know, within reason, you're way beyond it. Not to belabor this, but it just seems like it is a I suppose, let me ask you this, Jackie, can we vacate the order if I mean, I think we would just vacate the order, right? If it turns out it's not in our jurisdiction.
Yeah, I think the order only applies to work that's affecting our jurisdiction. Um, we could even specify that it only applies if we'd like to, but that might be part of the default language. So I think if we issue it and it turns out it's not in our jurisdiction, then it sort of is not
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not applicable anymore. But
I know it's just odd that the expectation is you're going to go ahead and put in erosion controls, and I guess it's up to you, the applicant, figure out what's in the jurisdiction, what isn't, and you know, I guess do the right thing, obviously, but you know,
No, and I don't know right now, and this is me not having a legal background. we have been given a piece of information presented by the consultant, by the homeowner, saying that this is where the buffer zone line is. So right now, that is the information we have, and it is saying we are in jurisdiction. So I think that we can act upon that.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting at with the admission. Like, if you're telling us that this is where the buffer zone is, and you're saying it's in the buffer zone, sure. It does trouble me that we're even at this meeting without having physically been on site. I will not, hold that back. That does trouble me quite a bit. I know it's impossible to get to every one of these things, but
We've run into our own share of first tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I really meant to get out there this week, but then I had so many other things come up. I had that other enforcement that was unexpected.
Yeah, no, and it's not a
week and-
criticism of you. It's just impossible. It's like totally impossible to do this. Anyway,
I guess, I mean,
yeah.
in
I know
terms,
you're looking for us.
I guess I don't think the homeowner really has a problem with you guys coming on site. And like I said, he can correct me if I'm wrong. If the enforcement order ends up not being in jurisdiction, we can vacate it. It's whatever that terminology was. I think just to keep the process moving. I think we all got to just go on site, confirm the flagging, and I think we're going to have to file an NOI. It seems like it's gonna be that way, anyways.
Yeah.
Well, I would think then Jackie has to go out and do it because there's no point in our going out. We have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other reason I didn't go out is because I knew I would have had to get permission from either the abutter or the property owner. I thought I was going to get permission from the abutter, but then I didn't hear back on that. And then I was like, okay, I have limited time. Like I would need permission from
Wow.
the homeowner to go and look at it um, without permission. So
We're all busy.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt about it. So,
Permission to
so really quickly though, what are we asking them to do? We're asking them to put in erosion controls, right?
There is
And-
erosion control all around the wall area. There is no soil spilled over at all. But you can check this yourself as well. Well, it's already planted all around the wall and around the property.
Okay, it just has to satisfy what we would require for, so Jackie's gonna go out there and see what you guys put down, and if it doesn't, obviously, if it doesn't comply, you'll be notified.
Heidi did check this a while back, I believe. She gave the okay on it, the erosion control that was already planted there.
We're talking about the loose soil that's up like in front of the wall, I think.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay, so but the question is, Heidi, so what are we asking them
I'm
besides
sorry, just to
that?
clarify, I'm Elda, his wife. The soil was existing soil that was on the property. It's not new soil.
It's been moved though.
Right.
Yeah, it's been moved.
Anytime there's disturbance, there has to be erosion control. And hearing that you have some amount of erosion control and that might be sufficient, we have to have our conservation agent go there and approve it, given that we haven't seen it in a while, or, we just don't have enough info right now.
Yes.
Okay, I don't want to belabor
Yes.
this.
So the question is, what are we asking? Because based on the notes we have here, the plan was submit a plan for removal of the retaining wall, planting of replacement native trees. We're not at that point now. So it's, put the sedimentation and erosion control in, and what else? That do a delineation, meet on site.
Confirm that the wetlands flags are up to the conservation administrator's standards right now. Whether if that's Heidi approved them within the past 3 years, check, done. That can happen tomorrow morning.
Okay.
I don't know, and that's just me speaking. I did not mean that like.
Yeah, no,
that's
I
my
know.
opinion.
Does anybody else? Don't have any.
Oh, I agree. I think Jackie's got to go take a look at it, and I think the homeowner's more than willing to have her do so.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Great. So I think that's good. We're going to review it, and then should we go forward with filing the NOI, try it for the next meeting though, just in terms of, we want me to follow up with Jackie after she reviews the site. And I think we should probably go forward trying to file the NOI to keep the process moving, or we're going to try to come back here the next meeting and have the enforcement order issued.
I think it's
Depends.
up to you and the applicant to sort of decide what you want to do here, because I think ultimately we're gonna, assuming that we confirm that there's disturbance within the buffer zone that was not permitted, um, it'll either need to be removed and restored or permission secured. And it's sort of up to you if you want to take that risk of applying for the notice of intent, knowing that it could be denied at the commission's discretion based on our regulations.
Yep, noted. That sounds like a plan.
I think so. It's like a piece by piece thing. I think we got to take this a step at a time. Doing the verification, but also if you do come back to us with the notice of intent, if that's what you conclude, and a waiver is required. I mean, it's not our job to tell you why this is it warrants a waiver. I think that's really incumbent on you, as on the applicant, to demonstrate why a waiver is warranted under the circumstances. And I would guess I would say, to the extent that you are seeking a waiver and this really extraordinary relief under the circumstances, ways that you can mitigate on site, um, and just increase or benefit the resource areas and our values. So just things to think about, because I feel like I know that this is a work in progress and you're looking for direction, but and we want to give you some of that, but this is an extraordinary situation if it is within the buffer zone, and it is extraordinary relief that's being sought. And so you got to come back with all of those things, I think, lined up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's the goal. Like I said, this is from last Wednesday, so we're just here to
Yeah.
show our face, and we couldn't come up with that in a week, so it's
Oh,
coming.
understood. Understood. All right. Do you want me to do a motion?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
definitely.
All right.
Good luck
So,
with that
hang on.
one.
So I'm gonna do my best here. So I will make a motion. This is Jennifer DiCarlo. I'm gonna make a motion to issue an enforcement order for 30 Canterbury Hill Road. That requires the owner and or their, agent to meet with the conservation agent on site, or permit her access to the site so that she can inspect it. And for the owner and or their agent to confirm the relevant resource area boundary. And I think also to um, install or implement sedimentation and erosion controls on site with respect to any disturbed soil. And I don't know. I think that's it at this moment in time. Does anybody else have anything that I missed?
No, I would just potentially clarify that the sedimentation and erosion control is up to the conservation administrator's discretion.
Okay, so I will adopt Andrew's amendment that the installed sedimentation and erosion control just must satisfy the requirements of the conservation agent. That's my
Okay.
motion.
I'll second the revised motion.
And how do you vote? Dodd Shamrock, yes?
Jen DiCarlo, aye.
Andrew Mulholland, aye.
Maureen Bresnahan, aye.
Okay, there's
Good.
your path forward.
Thank you. See you soon, guys.
All right. Good night.
Right.
Next, we have an enforcement order on 38 Candlewood Drive. And it has to do with, hold on 1 second.
This was for Phil
Yeah,
within
trying to
the
come
buffer
up.
zone.
Yeah, I have your visited the site.
Yeah, I can update you all. I
Okay.
just wanted to give a brief update that I visited the site
Yeah,
on
go ahead.
Monday and Tuesday this week, before and after the fill was removed, just to confirm the erosion controls and then confirm that the fill had all been removed. the large area of fill on the steep slope was taken out by excavator. There was sort of smaller areas that had been indicated on the plan that on site, I sort of decided that it was a very limited amount and there was already native plants growing over it in those smaller areas, so that it may not be worth removing it with the excavator at this point. But if we decide later, it could be removed by hand in those like really small strip behind the fence. But the large area of fill on the steep slope had been removed, so I thought that was a positive development. And it was supposed to be seeded right afterwards, so that would have been yesterday, and the slope stabilized. So I'll continue to follow up on that. The next item on the agenda, I don't know if anyone had anything to say about that, but
No.
yep. So the next item, the enforcement order 2024-02 at 92 Parsonage Lane. Mike, the homeowner, sent me an update by email. Mike Dyken. He's been installing the silt fence in the second area. And he will keep providing updates as required by the enforcement order. There's no updates on the 3 Johns Lane enforcement orders. So we can move past that item.
Yeah.
The next item on the agenda was the SGAR conditions on permits. So I think Dodds was absent for most of our discussion on this, but I filled her in a little bit that we had been discussing the rodenticides. And Lisa had come and spoke to us about her concerns about the rodenticides poisoning wildlife, and trying to think of what the Conservation Commission could do about it. We had discussed adding conditions on permits going forward, like a standard condition saying that rodenticides would not be used without approval by the conservation agent. At our last meeting, we discussed asking town council about that. They ended up recommending against us adding any conditions or regulations related to pesticides in general at all, and they thought that it was, my understanding is that they think it's similar to having a bylaw, which we are not supposed to do. But then I also looked in our regs, and we do have regs that basically prohibit pesticides as a whole without our approval in the buffer zone, which I don't think I'd seen that before, because I had been like control F rodenticides in our bylaw. But we have pesticides, and pesticides technically include rodenticides, so technically we are doing something against the advice of what town council told me, but I don't think we've been enforcing it. So for now, I think I recommend we take no action on that. But maybe it's something we should revisit next time we update our regs, just to decide whether or not we should have that there, or maybe look into it more legally in terms of what we can and can't do. And then Lisa dropped off more educational postcards. We've been putting those in the lobby just as like an education measure about the rodenticides. People seem to be taking the postcards. I had run out of the earlier stack, so that's a good sign. And then Lisa also asked if we would be willing to write a letter of support of state level legislation against the rodenticides, similar to a letter she found that was submitted by the Boxford Conservation Commission. So if people are interested in doing that, I could draft a similar letter and put it on for discussion at our next meeting. But that was Lisa's suggestion of something else we could do about the rodenticide issue. Yeah, that's all my updates, but I don't know if anyone had thoughts.
I'm not entirely clear on what we would be, the letter that you would write out.
I think I
Be
put
in
in
ban other
example.
use in buffer zones.
No, it was just in general. So it's,
Oh, okay.
I can find the Boxford letter. I think I put it in Dropbox.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. For
yeah,
the
so
sake of time, this might be something to revisit at the next meeting.
yeah, no, I think definitely, I don't think we should do it
Too late to figure it
now
out tonight.
because
Yeah.
it should be on the agenda as something we would vote on.
Right.
For like public purposes, I would think, but they basically in Boxford, the Conservation Commission signed on to this letter asking um, to co-sponsor the bills that would phase out the use of commercial grade rat poisons in Massachusetts because they threaten wildlife and pets and are less effective than other methods of controlling rodents. Escars have such and such impacts on wildlife and disrupt the ecosystem. The federal government banned the retail sale of escars in 2015 due to the risks they pose to children and pets, but they remain in wide use by licensed professionals. Um, Alarming rates of escar exposure and death in predatory species of wildlife.
Yeah.
Banning escars, etc. So that was sort of the gist of the letter from the Boxford Conservation Commission. So if that's something we are interested in, it's something we could consider.
I think let's revisit that at the next meeting.
Okay.
Ditto.
Okay.
Triple ditto.
Good.
Yeah, I told Lisa not to bother with this meeting because it would be long. So I told her to come to next meeting, but I told her I'd give you an update.
Thank you.
So Lisa will probably be at the next meeting and she can talk more. I guess the next item on the agenda is Mass Ready Act. So I submitted comments on the Mass Ready Act to the State Joint Committee on Environment and Natural Resources. So this act was recently proposed and it's sort of being like going through a sped up, streamlined process as like an emergency provision. So there was very little time to comment on it, and we didn't have a meeting during that time, unfortunately, to talk about it together. But I went ahead and submitted a letter. It would make changes to the Wetlands Protection Act and impact conservation commissions significantly in both positive and negative ways, depending on which parts of it. So I submitted the letter. It's in the Dropbox if anyone wants to see it. And Lana Spillman, I guess, is involved um, with MACC. She was like a former conservation agent in Topsfield, and she submitted a nice letter in response addressed to all of us, even though I was the one who wrote the letter, but all of us in spirit. So that was nice of her to submit that. And then yeah, I think the comment period's closed, but I just wanted you all to know that that I submitted a letter on behalf of myself as the conservation agent, without you all having a chance to sign off, unfortunately. And then my last item is the upcoming meeting schedule. So I had previously stated that I didn't think I would make the October meeting, but then I looked at our meeting schedule and I realized we have it scheduled for the third week in October, unlike our usual second Wednesday schedule. I think that was because of the Topsfield Fair. But now I'm sort of wondering, are people aware of that? Are we available to meet on October 15th, the third Wednesday? Because I'm fine with that. But if so, I'd like to move the application deadline up a week so that I have time to review permits when I'm going to be away during some of that time.
That sounds good.
If it's on our calendar, we're available because we voted on the calendar. And we always pick that October date because of that we offset that date because of the fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure how much people were aware that that was on the calendar, because I
So,
wasn't aware until now. But sorry
October
for-
18th is fine, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
I'm fine.
that's great. If that's the case, I'm asking that we vote to update our filing deadline to be a week beforehand so that I have time to so that I have more than a few days to review the permit applications that might come in.
Right.
Um,
That's
Yeah.
fine with me. As long as it's posted pretty obviously on the site that, that one is earlier than we would usually.
Yeah, so we would update the schedule on the website.
And then probably the meeting before, we should explicitly state that there is sort of a abnormal deadline for the next one.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
I'll write that down.
Everybody agree on that, or do we need to vote on that?
I agree, but I think we do need to vote on it because it is a change to the schedule.
Okay.
I can put forward a motion to change the filing deadline to September 24th, 2025 for the October 15th, 2025 meeting.
Wait a minute, the filing?
Yes.
Yes, so for submitting a permit application.
So our meeting was
But wait a minute, when is the meeting? On the 15th?
Our meeting was scheduled for the 15th. Jackie is
Yeah.
asking us to move the filing deadline a week before because she's going to be out of office
Right,
for, I
but
think,
it's
2
still
weeks.
gonna be the 15th, so
Correct.
all she wants to do is move it a week ahead.
She wants to move the filing deadline a week
Right.
ahead.
Right,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay. I think my motion
I
is
have to
as
second it.
stands.
I'll second it. It's Jen. I'll second it.
And I already yesed it.
Okay.
I Jen DeCarlo, aye.
Andrew Mulholland, aye.
Maureen Bresnahan, aye.
Okay,
you.
that took care of that.
I appreciate that. And then I guess, like, just so you all know, I think tentatively I'll be out of office from about October 2nd to 13th. I'll only be actually out of state from the 6th to 9th, but just because of the weekends and me probably taking a day off the week before and the holiday on the 13th, that ends up being a significant time, which is why I thought I needed the filing deadline earlier. Otherwise, I'd only have like 2 or 3 days to review permits, which would be stressful. So I appreciate the change to deadline.
Of course.
And I'm glad I'll be able to make the meeting because that will make things run more smoothly. So
Yeah.
although I'm sure you could all do it without me.
And Jackie, you should always just tell us, because these deadlines were put in place before you arrived here. But if they're not working for you or making it really difficult, just let us know and we'll vote to modify them. I mean,
That's what I told Jackie, that we'd all vote, no problem.
yeah, I mean, I noticed even tonight somebody submitted a plan like today, right?
Yeah, I mean, I sort of allow revisions
Yeah.
on an as needed basis. Like I'll say, okay, if this is a minor revision, like that's okay, but
Yeah.
technically our deadline is
We
2
will do
weeks in
whatever we
advance of
can
most
to work with you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Do we
The
have-
only other, sorry.
Do we have to vote on it? I mean, sign any bills or other business?
We did table the minutes, but we can probably move those to next month unless they're needed for
Yeah, we can
other
take-
reasons by Jackie.
I don't think
You
we're
need
needed
them
right now.
done,
No.
We'll
Jackie?
No, I don't need them for any particular reason.
What about any other business or anything, or?
Just one minor thing. We need to advertise the opening for the conscom, and I think the question is if we can repost it, but I think it has to get posted on the town's social media by the town. So we should that should be like a priority so we can get that role filled.
Yes.
Okay.
Whatever
Yeah,
you need our
I'll
help
try
with.
and push for that again for advertising that.
Yeah, we can assist with whatever you need for that.
Yeah.
We can push it out.
Yeah, I have one lead on that. I just need some actual thing to point her to that is somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, I think our website technically says that we have a
okay.
vacancy right
Oh,
now.
all right.
I'm not sure if there's other info there, but we
Okay.
definitely have it on the website that there's a vacancy.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, I think that was everything. Do we want to adjourn?
Dodds, are you comfortable with me making a motion?
No, I'm fine with that.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we close the August 13th, 2025 conservation meeting at 10:26 p.m.
I'll second that.
How do we vote? Dodd Shamrock, aye.
Jen DeCarlo, aye.
Andrew Mulholland, aye.
Maureen Bresnahan, aye.